Listen close. The floorboards know, the shadows tell, and I can't help myself. The clock is bleeding seconds thin. It scratches louder on my skin. The window shivers when I breathe. The night remembers what I leave. The mirror bends, it cracks, it stares. 1,000 eyes that weren't quite there. They hum a song without a sound and pull me deeper underground. And it whispers soft, it whispers slow. It says the things I should know. You're next, you're next, you're next. The words fall heavy in my chest. You're next, you're next, you're next. Like the curse I can't arrest. I don't want it, I don't choose, but the voice won't let me lose, and it says you're next. The hallway breathes, the walls collapse. Each shadow stretches, each candle cracks. The air is thick, it tastes like stone. It calls me out, but I'm alone. I etched your name into the glass. It bled away, but didn't pass. The letters stayed beneath the pain. They chanted back, they chant your name. And it calls me loud, it calls me deep. It steals the breath I need to keep. You're next, you're next, you're next, you're next. A hymn I never meant to learn. You're next, you're next, you're next, you're next. A song that makes the silence burn. I don't want it, I don't choose, but the voice won't let me lose, and it says you're next. I am the lock, I am the key, I am the ghost inside of me. I never asked, I never prayed, but still the debt must be repaid. The floorboards scream, the windows break, the silence swallows every ache. The night collapses into dust. The only voice I hear is trust, and it says, it says you're next. You're next, you're next, you're next. The shadows echo, floors confess you're next. You're next, you're next, you're next. And my heart can't second guess. I don't want it, I don't choose, but the voice won't let me lose, and it screams you're next. I trace the cracks along the wall. The house is hollow, it hears it all. I never meant for it to be, but something wakes inside of me. The night is endless, white and black, and what it takes, it never gives back. I try to fight, but still it bends. A voice that whispers without end. You're next, you're next, you're next, you're next. The night relents. You're next. A hymn that drowns the innocence. I don't want it, I don't choose, but the voice won't let me lose, and it screams. You're next. You're next. Listen close, the floorboards know, the shadows tell, and I can't help myself. Bless me, Father, for I've sneezed in the aisle between the rosaries. A choir gasped in holy fright, as if I summoned demons with my sinus mind. I tripped and spilled the sacred tea. The priest yelled, "Sancti, why thee?" Guess I'm the chosen clumsy one, sent to keep the Sunday service fun. Hold your candles, hide your breath. Here comes trouble, lightly blessed. Spiritus nonsensius, Gloria confusium. I'm chanting things that don't mean much, but wow, they sound illustrious. Dominus ridiculous, sanctus ilium. Praise be to whatever this is. Spiritus nonsensius. A nun said, "Child, you must repent." I said, "For what?" She said, "For your accent." I told her I was speaking tongues. She said, "That's gum, spit it out, young one." I tried to join the choir's tune, but hit a note that killed the moon. The organ wheezed, the bishop fled. They thought the apocalypse was up ahead. Bless my heart and bless my shoe. It stuck to a pew with holy glue. Spiritus nonsensius, Gloria confusium. I'm chanting things that don't mean much, but wow, they sound illustrious. Dominus ridiculous, sanctus ilium. Praise be to whatever this is. Spiritus nonsensius. Magnificatum, dramatica, translation. Oops, my bad again. Veni vidi, whoops a lot. Game I saw, I tripped, I meant cantati quircus maximus. Sing louder till they let me stay. If nonsense is a holy art, well, guess who's here to lead the way? They offered me a second chance to take the sacramental dance. I bowed, I twirled, I spun around and kicked the incense to the ground. Whoa, the room filled up with smoky grace. I vanished like a saint disgraced. They called it miracle number 2, but really, I just ran, wouldn't you? Spiritus nonsensius, Gloria confusium. I'm chanting things that don't mean much, but wow, they sound illustrious. Dominus ridiculous, sanctus ilium. Praise be to whatever this is. Spiritus nonsensius. So if you hear chaotic hymns, don't fear for angels, fear for me. I'm spreading joy in nonsense, pure, imperfect, fake theology. Spiritus nonsensius. Amenish. Probably.
Oh, hello, everyone. Welcome. Forgive my voice. Probably not coming in super clear. Apologies for that. I don't know why. It's kind of dry today. I'm going to try to fix that and drink some fluids. I'm probably not going to do too much heavy commentary, but there are a few points in here that I definitely wanted to chime off on. And if some of you missed this, and I don't know how many of you follow Inspiring Philosophy, but this debate happened. It just showed up in my feed. And I clicked in to watch it, and I was just, I haven't watched all of Jake's debates. I didn't see him with what was it, David Wood, I think, or something. I didn't really watch all of his that he had relatively recently, but I did watch this one. Showed up in my feed and I clicked on it, and yeah, it was the Trinity debate, Basement Dweller. Yeah. And wow. Jake was just outclassed at every angle. He was woefully unprepared for the topic of the debate, and the topic of the debate was precisely followed. What the debate was presented to be was exactly what the Trinity Defender presented, and exactly what Jake masterfully failed to address. I can't think of too many other debates I've seen. I mean, other than that West Huff debate too, where the guy clearly had no idea. Black guy, I forget his name. Who cares? Idiot, fraud, degenerate, liar. He got exposed, and that was an epic spanking of the highest order. You come across these every once in a while, and it's just brutal. It's just bloody. It's bloody shit. Like, you have some of these moments where it breaks down in some of these debates, and it's just so clear as day that the opposition is wildly outclassed. I think there were a couple moments like this in a couple of my soteriology debates. I think I had a couple of those moments even with the dude, and how they had absolutely no answer for the martyr argument. Just catastrophic for free grace. You get some of those moments where you get that opponent and you just slam them against the wall, and there's not a fucking thing they can do about it. I've done it with Calvinists multiple times. Do you guys like this environment? Do you enjoy this thing we do with our particular brand and flavor? Because it's not everyone's cup of tea. Maybe it's the type of thing that catches on. Maybe it's the type of thing that stays remnant. I don't really care. I'm not going to change. I don't see a reason to. No one's giving me any good moral justifications. Most of these people that critique me are completely biblically and morally bankrupt anyway. Anyway, we're going to cover this debate. Jake at one point was very dismissive to me back in the day before he got quite as large as he did. I did challenge Jake to a debate, and it never took off. In fact, Jake made the excuse that I was too harsh or whatever of that nature, while he was also at the same time caught being a hypocrite and cussing out one of his own religious leaders. So, the idea that he was laying a standard that someone's not worthy of debate, that he himself was clearly violating. I made a little video about it, actually, didn't I? I think it might still be in here. The Muslim meta hypocrite. You know what? I might have it. I feel like I saw it just the other day. I'm just going to look in here real quick. Oh, shit. Yeah, I do have it. See how long it's going to take me to open this, though. Oh, wow.
And yeah, maybe one day Smokey.
That actually opened very quickly. This is a 3-minute video, but you know what? It's contextual. I guess I might as well play it. I don't know if this is the video where my audio got fucked, because that did happen. Bear with me. I uploaded the video and I had already closed the program and didn't save the file, which was particularly dumb. And I wasn't doing particularly tons of editing at the time. The files were large, so I didn't usually keep them when I was done. But there was something wrong with the audio. I think this is it. By the way, Sammy's here, I guess. Hi, Sammy. How you doing? Okay, very good. Welcome, Sammy, whenever you decide to unmute. Sammy was discussing his belief system earlier. I decided to come over and do this. This was going to be more interesting than listening to the two Gnostics jerk each other's cocks over each other's nonsense. So I decided on this instead, despite I don't feel like my voice is at 100% today at all. I don't know, something's going around maybe or something, or it's just dry, changing the season. Hard to say. So excuse me if I do sound a little hoarse. This is a video I made a while ago, particularly around the time of Jake denying to do a debate with me. And Chris Date, by the way, also basically cowered and ran. Chris Date is a very emotionally weak, effeminate man. In fact, I think it's part of the reason that he was drawn so fiercely to the doctrine of annihilationism. He is a competent scholar, but he is desperate to believe in his doctrine. I don't want to get into that. That's not really a big particular deal to me. But I want to show you guys this. This is a little bit of give you some lore and history into my personal experience with Jake. So you guys can listen to this.
Saint and I will debate, but I'll tell you what, if I have even the slightest inkling that he's going to act with me in the way that I perceive him to have acted with others.
By the way, they're talking about me.
In hell that I'm going to.
Just so you guys know, at the beginning of this clip, they're talking about me, just to be clear.
And yeah, maybe one day Smokey Saint and I will debate, but I'll tell you what, if I have even the slightest inkling that he's going to act with me in the way that I perceive him to have acted with others, there's not a chance in hell that I'm going to have that debate.
Well, can I actually make a comment on that? I know it's your personal thing, but I want to tie it into this whole thing. I would just agree with you. I've seen some of his interactions. I don't want to dogpile on the guy, but I wouldn't debate him either. I'll just say that.
He says, that said, I'm definitely open to having you on my show to talk with a subject matter expert on the incarnation like Dr. Timothy Paul. Doesn't want to debate the Muslim metaphysician, doesn't want him on his channel, doesn't want Muslims on his channel. He only wants to have atheists and Christians on, and he doesn't listen. I'll tell you straight up, this guy is completely against Islam and Muslims. He can't stand us. That's why he don't want anybody even near his program.
He didn't just say what I think he did he?
He says, that said, I'm definitely open to having you on my show to talk with a subject matter expert on the incarnation like Dr. Timothy Paul.
We're going to have a problem here.
Sends me some clip of something he heard from me where I was calling some guy dishonest and I raised my voice in a YouTube video. And he basically starts like questioning my character of some sort and saying, well, I don't know if, and I'm giving you a short story, but he's basically saying, I don't know if I want to have you on the show now. So I said, listen, what do you mean you don't want to have me on the show? All I did was say that the guy was dishonest in a loud voice. I didn't cuss him out or anything like that. I didn't do anything nasty or vile to the guy. I just said that he was dishonest and in a loud voice, which is, I mean, I've said that before to other people, so it wasn't the first or only one.
We're going to have a problem here.
People are so goddamn stupid that they don't even realize how stupid they are. And this was a perfect example of it. And then, you know, we see how many people do we have already on Clubhouse? I've been here a couple hours. And it's like boom, boom, one after another.
So you're going back. You literally just said 5 minutes ago it wasn't the most preferred. Look, see, when I respond to your argument, you fold like a pretzel. You're dishonest, old man.
Can you show some decency? Like he gave you time. You didn't interrupt.
1 second. 1 second.
No, I'm not retracting anything I said, brother. Why should I retract it? If you believe in those two other gods, you're a Catholic. You're a mushrik. Pure and simple. I'm not going to retract nothing. He's a complete enemy of Islam. Nobody should take him seriously.
He didn't just say what I think he did he?
So Jake is constantly going back and forth on himself. He'll have something happen. He'll make up a story later about it. He'll contradict himself. He'll spin lies and nonsense and run away from debates and claim that the other side did something that made the debate untenable when he's really the one running. I mean, the guy really is just kind of a cowardly, dishonest scumbag. But man, this meme is actually pretty potent right now because we're about to watch Jake eat a giant fucking pile of crow. And I mean, just sublime. If any of you guys have any interest in the Trinity or metaphysics or transcendentals and things like that, things of that philosophical category, then you will love this. Even
maybe we can be more punctual about it and just say that he's gay.
Philosophers and logicians in the audience will also appreciate this. Sammy, what is the critique? I'm sorry, you repeat it. I'm sorry.
I said maybe we could be more punctual about the whole thing and just say that he's gay.
Who's gay?
The guy that you're critiquing.
It's not a guy, it's a debate. And it's a debate where this one guy who I just showed I have a little bit of a history with is getting absolutely annihilated.
He seems pretty gay. He seems pretty gay or whatever.
He seems pretty gay. Well, that's fine. He might be. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he does swing that way. It's possible. The Muslims aren't known as the most moral of people. So, that's fine. Okay, so this is the debate. In fact, I'm going to speed it up a little bit here. We don't need to watch this at regular speed. I feel like 1.5 is sometimes too fast, but it's a long debate. So let's just go with that.
Hello, welcome everyone for this exciting debate. I have with me Nick of Fearless Truth and Jake.
So if you guys can see the debate topic, pay attention. This is important. The debate topic specifically is the Trinity illogical? This is, the area that Jake loves to claim that he shines in. Okay, so the metaphysics, the logic, the philosophy, the Trinity dilemma he claims to have, all this flows into this topic that he professes himself as near an expert of. So the topic is very clear. Is the Trinity illogical? So really, honestly, even the gentleman here, the Trinity defender, has put himself in the position of the defense, the burden of proof, while Jake is allowed to take the position of attack on the offense. So this is an interesting structure for the debate. It's not like, is the Trinity logical? It's, is the Trinity illogical, which is an interesting framing. So yeah, I really enjoyed this. And if any of you enjoy watching Jake get spanked, you're really going to enjoy this too.
Broncatella. I'm going to give a quick bios about them, then we're going to dive right into this debate on is the Trinity illogical or not. Nick will be going first, so I'll read his bio first. Nick, also known as Fearless Truth, is an Orthodox Christian apologist who's been studying Christianity for around 6 years. Yeah, he has an emphasis on debating around the Trinity and Orthodox philosophy. And we have Jake Broncatella. Jake holds a master's degree in theology and philosophy. He runs a YouTube channel, Jake Broncatella 2.0. Focusing on Islamic and Christian theology. He lives in Marrakesh, Morocco, with his wife and family. Sorry if I mispronounced that city name. So thank you for both of them being here. I'm going to moderate this debate, and I will do my best to be as unbiased as possible. I appreciate both of them being here, so please show respect to both debaters. I would really appreciate that. The format of this debate is 10-minute opening statements with Nick going first, followed by 5-minute rebuttals, then 15-minute cross-examinations, then 5-minute closings, and then 30-minute audience Q&A. So we have 30 minutes for Q&A. So if you have a question for either debater, please try to tell us who the question is for, who it's directed at, and I will read it. Since we also have limited time for Q&A, I'm going to prioritize super chats, also based on amount. So if you put in like a higher amount, I will try to prioritize that out of the goodness of you offering more for that. So appreciate everybody coming. Let's get right into it. Nick, do you have are you going to share screen?
Yes, let me go ahead and do it now.
And Michael, can I just make a quick comment about the format? Because I noticed some people are commenting on my channel and are a little bit confused. Sure. So for you guys who don't know, if you ask questions, as Michael was saying, there's going to be a Q&A later. The only questions that will be dealt with are the ones that are posted on Inspiring Philosophy, Michael Jones's channel. So don't waste your time posting them on my channel. Otherwise, they won't be seen. And for people wondering about the intro, that's Michael's intro for his channel. How it works on StreamYard is basically he's the actual host of the debate and moderator, and then it's just being recast and restreamed onto my channel. So I just wanted to mention that. I didn't want people to think that if they posted questions on my channel that it was going to be taken here. So if you want that, you would have to post a question directly on his channel.
I don't get what the shit. I don't get what this shit is.
I will read those out at the end. We can
guys,
right
like,
the
whatever's going on with my channel, blah blah blah. It's like I would literally fucking knock every one of these people out in
Sammy. What does that have to do
15
with
seconds max? They would be unconscious in 15 seconds max. Why am I listening to this fucking shit?
I don't know. Why are you here if you're getting infuriated about it?
I would fucking brutalize and murder these people in 15 seconds.
Why? Why would you want to do such a thing?
Why would I want to kill them? Because I don't tolerate this shit. And I don't know why you do.
They are having a debate, a one of which you are not forced to watch.
I would fucking kill them. I'd fucking literally murder them with my bare hands.
Sammy, Sammy, do you really want to be talking like that, considering the storm of events that transpired not too
Ryan's going to call the cops on me. I get it. Okay, whatever.
I'm just saying, do you necessarily want to invite trouble by doing things that you know are a crime and there's no reason for it?
Me? No, I don't want Ryan to call the cops on me, but he probably will. He probably has already 500 times.
I don't think Ryan's even watching right now.
Well, that's a good thing.
Is it fair? Let me ask you something. Let me just be real with me just for a second. Is it fair for me to just maybe express a bit of personal concern, to not want you to do something that could potentially get you in trouble or compromise your life? Is it not fair and friendly and decent of me to at least say, hey, man, pump the brakes a little bit?
It absolutely is fair, and I appreciate it. But when it comes to Ryan, it's like everything's
everyone's got an opinion about Ryan and what he does or doesn't do. And I don't hear, all I hear, really honestly, Sammy, I hear a lot of bitching and whining. That's all I hear. I don't really hear anyone giving me any real arguments against Ryan. I just got a whole bunch of people that hate him for a whole bunch of different fucking reasons that I don't even want to begin.
You're going to hear shit pretty soon if he actually goes to court, and that's going to be a fucking actual shit show. If Ryan actually goes to court pertaining to Spider's stuff, there are people that have gotten involved to where this is going to be a fucking shit show. And
I think all of you are significantly overreacting.
I think that I know goddamn well I'm in legal trouble myself right now. So I'm sitting here in legal trouble. I know goddamn well.
You know, one of the things that here's the thing. I don't feel like Spider should be in a position right now where he's at risk of having a felony on his record that would completely compromise his life and livelihood and everything else. Right. The problem is there are people in this community, not naming names. No, I'll name a name. Brandon fucking Irish. Okay. Who keep running their fucking mouths and poking the bear and provoking this situation to get worse and worse. Challenging Ryan that he can't follow through with this. That
Ryan is going to get absolutely fucked if he goes to court with. Ryan doesn't know what's coming with him.
You realize when you say shit like that, you're basically daring him to do it. Do you realize this? Like he's very confident.
I don't care. I don't care. I'm saying that Ryan has invited stuff
Sammy, why are you taking over my show with this fucking horse shit right now? Really?
Ryan has invited stuff, and Ryan has invited stuff. So there's this trial that's going to happen. Ryan's invited stuff. We're going to get the FOIAs on the stuff. Ryan's going to get fucking shit canned after these FOIAs get released. It's going to be fucking really, really
shit canned how?
bad.
What are you talking about? Discovery is already done clearly in the case. They have a future court date. It's set for trial.
Ryan was fucking threatening a goddamn attorney. The attorney is going to fly there.
Yeah, you know what? Ryan was threatening to call the cops. And you know what the worst thing to do when Ryan was threatening to call the cops was to say, hey, I'm going to kill you in this very, very specific way. And by the way, here's my full name and address.
Yeah, but there was an attorney that Ryan got involved with targeting. So Ryan,
I'm so sick of this shit.
Lawyer.
I am so fucking sick of this shit. I am so sick of this shit. Ryan was
targeting a lawyer.
I am so fed up to here with this spider shit.
The lawyer's going to show up.
I really am.
The lawyer is going to show up. So if Ryan shows up, the lawyer's showing up too, and the lawyer's going to the lawyer's got to file as well. So there's a lawyer.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. The modern generation has a term that goes around, and they call it "fuck around and find out." Okay. This whole situation falls directly under the criteria of fuck around and find out.
Oh, I agree.
This is why I'm telling you, you know what? Forget Ryan for a minute, Sammy. Let's say what I'm telling you is correct, that maybe it's just not a good idea to potentially endanger or compromise your life by committing actual crimes on the internet. And I'm just saying that as a friend. And you go somewhere else with this same fucking psychotic mentality. You say the same shit you just said to me in here, but then you're on a channel of a bunch of people who actually care, and they call the cops, and they're not even Ryan. And all of a sudden, you got to deal with a whole new legal problem because you can't control your fucking mouth.
If Ryan is going to show up to court, there will be a lawyer that will be showing up to court that Ryan was threatening and harassing. So you're going to have an actual lawyer.
By appearing on panel, did you see the video? I still have it.
No,
do I need to re-upload it?
If Ryan actually shows up to court in Wichita or wherever.
Here's the thing, Sammy. In all likelihood, there's going to be a plea deal struck. They don't try to go through a trial if they don't have to. A plea's probably going to get struck, honestly. I mean, they have enough on this one to where if they really wanted to throw the book out in a trial.
Apparently Ryan really pissed off an attorney quite a bit ago. Apparently Ryan actually pissed off a lawyer.
What attorney? Whose attorney? What are you talking about?
Apparently this is unrelated to the situation. Apparently Ryan pissed off an attorney, and there is an attorney that is willing to fly right in on Spider's behalf. If Ryan's going to fly out there, he's going to fly out there.
Fly in on Spider's. So what? There's an attorney in a different state that's going to go be an attorney in a state they're not allowed to be an attorney in to help Spider.
That's not what I said.
What I'm hearing.
He will provide a.
Is it Rob Reed, I guess, or something? Is that who it is?
Probably.
Boy. Rob just can't help himself.
I don't know the name.
Where did you hear this? Where'd you hear this? Where did you hear it?
I'm just saying that's going to happen.
I'm trying to figure out, where did you hear?
I'm saying it's going to happen.
Okay. You know, I really don't care about any of this. I'm surprised any of you really do this much. You have a clear situation of fuck around and find out. It can't get more blatant than in fact, this is a absolute definitive, undeniable case of fuck around and find out. This could be definitional to the term. What just happened? What Spider did. And here's the thing. This is what a lot of you forget. It's not like this is the first time Spider said shit like this. He was making all kinds of horrific threats to people all over the internet all the time. Never got pinched for it. Never got arrested. Never got thrown in jail for it. Got away with tons and tons of crimes.
Spider. Yeah.
Got away with tons and tons of crimes until one day he didn't. Now, forgive me, folks, but my sympathy capacity on that is relatively shallow. Truthfully, this is Spider doing something horrifically unwise.
We're gonna pull the FOIA on if your guy tries to, that guy that actually called on Spider, if he goes out and actually takes the free vacation, we're gonna pull a FOIA on that when he loses. And he's gonna be a laughing stock for fucking forever.
Okay,
he's gonna lose.
Whatever. We mean he's gonna lose. There is no him losing. There is a trial. There is a criminal trial to prosecute Spider. There is no Ryan losing in this. Like the state against Spider.
We're gonna pull the FOIA. We're gonna pull the FOIA on it, and Ryan's.
So what? What do you think the FOIA is gonna do or say?
Ryan's gonna be like, oh, this guy said that he would have fucking anal sex with my butt and stuff like that. And
what are you talking about, Sammy?
It's gonna get so goddamn gay. It's gonna be the gayest thing that anybody could ever have fucking said, and he's going to go on record for saying the gayest goddamn shit. And it's going to be really fucking gay. And I don't think that Ryan's going to win because
he's not suing over anything. He's not trying to win anything.
Hey, doesn't Dave say in the beginning of his fucking channels that this is for entertainment purposes only?
Yeah, that does not give you free reign to do crimes on the live, Sammy. What? So we go on there and we say this is for entertainment purposes only. So it's okay if we pull a crypto scam. Think about what you're saying.
What did Matt do that was criminal?
He made a criminal terroristic death threat. What are you talking about? Why do you think they showed up to arrest him?
Said he liked to fucking fuck a hole in somebody's head or something.
I'm moving on. I don't want to talk about this shit anymore. I'm moving on. I want to go back to the thing.
Maybe we should cancel this for today, but I'm telling you, if
I'm not canceling shit. I'm moving back to my topic. I don't want to talk about the stupid Spider.
If Ryan proceeds, Ryan's going to have a lawyer.
Well, you know what's going to help Ryan be convinced to proceed is bullshit like this. Honestly, keep challenging him, tell him he can't do it, tell him he's going to get in trouble. While he's infinitely confident that this is going to go through. It's bullshit like this.
Ryan thinks
and what Brandon Irish does that encourages this to move forward.
Ryan's a goddamn loser, and Ryan thinks he's going
to have irrelevant.
A vacation.
That's irrelevant to the fact that you guys keep provoking him to move forward, and you're both too fucking stupid to realize it.
He's going to have a fucking free vacation, and if he is subpoenaed and they're paying for it, giving him a free vacation, Ryan's gonna have a fucking lawyer friend that's flying in.
Yeah, he's gonna have Rob Reed there.
He's not expecting.
By the way, do you have any idea how outrageously complex of a trial that will turn into if Rob Reed shows up?
I know.
Because Ryan has multiple formal ethic complaints out against him right now, and that'll end up becoming a thing. That'll just muddy the waters of the entire process. It'll be a fucking nightmare.
I know, but it sounds like Rob Reed doesn't give a goddamn fuck. And Rob Reed.
Oh, fuck. I wish someone would be there to live stream that.
Well, we can always get the player releases.
That's fair. That's fair, James.
Yeah.
I agree as well. I don't think going to Wichita is any kind of fucking vacation. I mean, it's not even Kentucky, right? Kansas. I mean, you can't even go to bourbon country. What type of fun is that? Yeah. Again, fuck around, find out. I don't want to talk about it anymore. It's stupid. It's gay. That's gay.
It is.
The thing you want to talk about is gay, by the way. That's gay.
It is fucking gay. Yeah.
You want to keep talking about all the gay stuff. We're not going to talk about any
No,
more gay
I
stuff.
don't. You
Okay.
do.
All right. So we're going to go back to this core thing. The whole reason I set up the freaking stream, the audience was expecting the title, not a bunch of spider shit. And we're going to move on with our show and watch Jake get completely fucking stomped out in this debate. Okay.
When you guys get a minute left, I'm going to play a little sound just so you guys know this is what it's going to sound like. That way that you know you have a minute left. But I will keep sharp on the time. I am a stickler for time, so let's not go over. All right, with that, let me get your screen up here. Let me see, let me make sure I can.
Yeah, make it a little bit bigger.
Yeah, it's not coming bigger. Is there what are you sharing on specifically?
Here, I'll try to just see if I can share it like share like that. Is any better?
There we go. That's much better. Yeah. All right. So 10-minute opening statement from Nick. I will start the timer on your first word, and I'll give you that 1 minute cue. So whenever you're ready.
Cool. All right. Top of the debate, guys, is the Trinity illogical? I won't make this opening super long as I'm simply defending my position, showing what it is, etc. Let me go ahead on that. All right. So what does it mean for something to be illogical in the first place? Well, as standardly defined in classical logic, for something to be illogical or logically inconsistent, it means there is no model under which every member is true without it being a contradiction in the set. And that's just classically defined everywhere. You can read that at the SEP or really any site that has the definitions of classical logic on it. Now, given that definition, what my opponent's going to have to show is that the model that I give regarding the Trinity is logically inconsistent and that it actually has an error within it that cannot be solved. A couple things my opponent cannot do is if my opponent tries to argue about the actual properties of the person, such as what makes the person distinct, or asking how do we discern them, that would fall into error, as logical consistency has to do with the model. It is not concerned with the metaphysics of what actually makes them distinct. If I can create a consistent model using first order logic and he agrees it is consistent, he has conceded the debate that it is logical. If it is metaphysically consistent is another topic. So all this means, guys, is there's a difference between the metaphysics of something and the logic of something. Now, the specific set of statements that are regarding in this is, which we try to model, is going to be there exists an FS and HS, that there are 3 of these, and that they are 1G yet not each other. So this model is saying that the F is obviously going to stand for Father, S, Son, HS, Holy Spirit, etc. And these are 1G. So they're one God, yet they're not the same person. This model is not concerned with the properties of predicates themselves. So what are the properties of F, S, and HS is irrelevant to the actual model, but are instead concerned with if the statement can lead to a consistent model itself. So how do we formulate this? Well, we formulate these statements using relative identity operator, meaning that the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit are the same G, but they're not the same P, meaning that they're going to be one in one way, but yet distinct in another way. One possible objection that my opponent might give is he might say this way of counting is ad hoc. Although I don't believe it is, even if we granted this counting method is ad hoc, it would not prove the formulation to be logically inconsistent, as models do not care about ad hocness, rather they care if the formulation actually works itself. Another possible objection is he might say that if we count another way, it would lead to a contradiction. This would again fail because even if that is true, as long as this model is consistent, we have met the criteria to be considered logical. To show a counterexample in this, if a Christian were to tell a Muslim, God is merciful, so that means that G equals M or God equals mercy, that would be ill-formed, given that a Muslim commitment about what is means. And so we can show there's multiple different models in which we can use to show that just saying that something is something or something that it equals another doesn't necessarily prove what type of identity you're using there. And so we can formulate it such as this. And that's the end of the slide, and we're all good to go.
All right, is that the end of your opening statement then?
Yes, sir.
All right. Really quick and easy, right to the point. All right. So whenever, do you have a slide you want to share, Jake?
Yes, I do. Let me see if this is going to work.
Okay.
I put it there. You see that? Okay.
Perfect. Yes, I see that. Okay. So, all right. I got 10 minutes whenever at your first words. Whenever you're ready, go ahead.
Okay.
You don't feel like getting up, going out, or working out? Sounds like you don't feel like much of a man anymore. It's not your fault, most likely.
All right, let's begin with what I call the Muslimim, or what is best known as the logical problem of the Trinity. Eastern Orthodox scholar Bo Branson states, and
so this is going to get really interesting here in a minute. This kind of simple version of this is, again, drawing back to the idea that you can have one ousios, you can have one nature, like how human beings all share one essence of what it is to be human. the personhood of the Godhead, the Trinity, can have a very, very similar, analogically predicated position, except that you have to account for now the incorporation of omni characteristics in its identity and essence, which leads you to a very interesting cohesive understanding of the Trinity, that God can be one essence, like me and all of you can be one essence of mankind while still having a distinctiveness of person. And Fro is here. Hey Fro, how you doing?
Hey, I'm new to this channel.
What's up?
I said, hi, I'm new to this channel.
Yeah,
Never
sure
been
you are.
here before. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, we're just moving through the debate here. And you're going to see Jake get completely outclassed because he can't even understand. At a certain point, not only does he understand the distinctiveness of being able to have one essence, it still have differentiation. He also fails later on to even understand the very, very basic essence energy distinction in Christian theology. And when he gets to that point, I'll make a point of that as well. And his complete and utter failure during cross-exam, asking stupid, meaningless questions because Jake is proving that he's ignorant and completely unaware of essence energy distinctions in Christian theology. So
Can
complete and utter
I have
failure.
2 seconds before you continue?
Yeah, go ahead, but let's not. I don't want to go into.
I said 2 seconds. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's going to be very short. I'm just going to say that I missed everybody tremendously, and you can see this as my return. That's everything. Continue.
Okay. Very cool. All right, good Fro. Good to see you. All right, moving on.
Quote, the doctrine of the Trinity is central to mainstream Christianity, but insofar as it posits three persons, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, who are one God, it appears as inconsistent as the claim that 1 + 1 + 1 = 1, close quote. So the problem is exactly what Muslims and many others have said about the Trinity all along. The Trinity clearly seems like polytheism. Now, Branson himself believes that he has solved the apparent problem, but at least he correctly identifies what the problem is. The great Trinitarian church father Gregory of Nyssa states in a letter responding to another bishop about this problem, and I quote, in truth, the question you propound to us is no small one, nor such that but small harm will follow it if it meets with insufficient treatment. For by the force of the question, we are at first sight compelled to accept one or other of two erroneous opinions, and either to say that there are three gods, which is unlawful, or not to acknowledge the Godhead of the Son and the Holy Spirit, which is impious and absurd, close quote. In other words, either the Trinity is true and there are three gods, or the Trinity is false. Notice that Gregory explicitly states that and requires significant treatment. Gregory further elucidates the problem. The argument which you state is something like this: Peter, James, and John being.
Okay, Sammy, are you going to do this? Are you going to make me have to just remove you? Are you just here to fuck up my show now?
I
want to go over this. If you don't want to go over this, then fuck off.
I want to make it clear that my friends will make somebody disappear like a $5 bill will disappear at a fucking fuel pump.
What are you talking about?
I can make people disappear. My friends can make people disappear like a $5 bill at a fucking gas pump. So I don't know what this gay shit is that you're talking about. It's fucking gay.
Then go. Then don't listen. Go over to Dave's.
I'm gonna leave, but just fuck off or whatever. I love you.
Okay, I love you too, Sammy.
In one human nature are called three men. And there is no absurdity in describing those who are united in nature if they are more than one by the plural number of the name derived from their nature. If then, in the above case, custom admits this, and no one forbids us to speak of those who are two as two, or those who are more than two as three, how is it that in the case of our statements of the mysteries of the faith, though confessing the three persons and acknowledging no difference of nature between them, we are in some sense at variance with our confession? When we say that the Godhead of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Ghost is one, and yet forbid men to say there are three gods. The question is, as I said, very difficult to deal with. In other words, Peter, James, and John share the same human nature, and we still call them three men because they are distinct from each other. Then why don't we call the three divine persons with the same nature three gods? Notice that Gregory doesn't do any professional Christian apologetical gaslighting. Gregory fully admits that the problem is, quote, very difficult to deal with. So anytime Nick or any other Christian apologist claims that this is an easy issue to deal with, we should remind them that they are claiming to be better than their greatest saints. Gregory responded to the problem saying, and I quote, "So according to the more accurate expression, man would be said to be one, even though those who are exhibited to us in the same nature make up a plurality. Thus, it would be much better to correct our erroneous habit so as no longer to extend to a plurality the name of the nature, than by our bondage to habit to transfer to our statements concerning God the error which exists in the above case." Close quote. In other words, to be consistent, we should say that there is only one man rather than admit that there are three gods in the Trinity. But how absurd is that?
Okay. He's got a lot of problems here. So he's trying to make this direct colloquial type of comparison by saying, like, you have three men, so you have three gods. Like, they all share the same essence, the same nature, but they're three distinct individuals. And when we talk about them, we say three men. So why wouldn't we say three gods? Okay, here's the thing. This is an abuse of colloquial expressions, okay? Because here's the thing. When we say three men, we are talking about three different persons. We're not talking about three human essences. So it's this, what he's doing is he's abusing, he's false equivocating colloquial expressions. When we say three men, we're still communicating the same way we communicate about the Trinity. One essence, not three essences, not three natures, but three individuals with one nature. We happen to say three men. We could just as well say three persons. We could say three persons, James, John, and Jude, or whatever you have there. Three persons sharing one nature, but he wants to take the colloquial type of cultural verbal expression and try to equivocate, which isn't actually even equivocating what the actual situation even is. So he's abusing this, the way we colloquially communicate, to say that this is a problem. We should say three gods. Well, if you're saying three gods, you know, the way that there's three men, what you're trying to say is there's three essences, and that's not what's being communicated, and that's not the starting point of the argument. You're taking a situation where you're trying to say this represents three essences, and that's exactly like this other one representing one essence. It's a false equivocation. It's an abuse of colloquial cultural terminology and comparing it directly with a philosophical proposition. So Jake is abusing, and I hate this type of argument. I've seen many of them do this multiple times. It's completely fallacious and flawed, and horrifically erroneous, but they will keep doing it, and they'll keep spouting it off because they think it makes sense. It's a very, very dumb argument, and is a pure false equivocation.
Modern Trinitarian scholar William Lane Craig comments on this passage from Gregory saying, and I quote, "Gregory, like Plato, thinks of the universal as the primary reality. He advises that rather than speak of three gods, we ought instead to speak of one man. But this answer solves nothing. Given that there are three hypostases or persons in the Godhead distinguished according to Gregory by the inter-Trinitarian relations, then there should be three gods," close quote. According to Craig, Gregory hasn't solved anything with his absurd claim that there is only one man. What about Branson? Branson freely admits, and I quote, "Today we count F's by one, logical subjects that are two, discernible from, or at least not identical to, one another and are F. That is, if X and Y differ in any way and are both F-ish, we count them as two F's," close quote. This means that if the Father and Son are both fully God and are distinct from one another, which they are, then today they would count as two gods, according to Branson. Branson says that we must count gods in the Trinity differently. We must count gods.
I want to tell you a story.
I used to believe that Jesus was a Catholic God, God of the Gentiles.
I imagine
States, and I quote, "To say we count by division is to say that the number of F's is given by how Fness is, or the
Hey, Jake, real quick, there was like a little pop there where you were kind of out. Can you go back? Like, I'm going to pause your time here and go back a couple seconds. But if you want to go back like 15, 20 seconds, just to make sure everyone heard that.
Okay.
Pause your time and I'll just.
I don't know how exactly far I should go back. Should I just start? I was reading the Branson quote. I'll just start at the beginning of the quote then.
That's fine. I'll give you like an extra 30 seconds. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that. Branson freely admits, and I quote, "Today we count F's by one, logical subjects that are two, discernible from, or at least not identical to one another, and are F. That is, if X and Y differ in any way and are both F-ish, we count them as two F's. This means that if the Father and Son are both fully God and are distinct from one another, which they are, then today they would count as two gods, according to Branson. Branson says, however, that we must count gods in the Trinity differently. We must count gods by, quote unquote, division. Branson states, and I quote, to say we count by division is to say that the number of F's is given by how Fness is, or the F's are, or can be, divided into spatially continuous parts with the same name F as each other and as the whole. This view is discussed extensively and was accepted by everyone, close quote. In other words, there is only one God in the Trinity because the persons cannot be spatially divided from one another. However, Branson's historical claim that the ancients did not count by identity at all is laughable. Branson, Nick, and all Trinitarians count the persons by identity, not division. This is something Nick failed to acknowledge in our previous discussion. He claimed that he counted the persons in the Trinity by division. If that were the case, then there would only be one person in the Trinity because the persons cannot be separated by time or space. So the question becomes, what is the consistent, non-ad hoc principle by which Nick, Branson, or other Trinitarians determine when they count things by identity versus division? Since my debate with Jay Dyer, I haven't seen any good response to this question yet. The Eastern Orthodox, and Nick in particular, believe in the essence-energies distinction. In short, they believe that God's attributes are not identical to God's essence or to each other. This alone isn't the problem. But when you combine this with the fact that they claim that each divine energy is fully God, then you have the LPT infinitely extended. If there are infinite divine energies and each is fully God, but distinct from each other, then you have an infinite amount of gods rather than merely just 3 gods. It also demonstrates another inconsistency. Nick and the Eastern Orthodox count the persons and attributes in God by identity, but gods by division. Another problem characteristic of Eastern Orthodox and Protestants, as opposed to Catholics, is the claim that Muslims and Christians do not worship the same God. Jay Dyer, Nick, and others typically reason that Muslims and Christians do not worship that same God because we do not share the same descriptions of God. Catholics usually appeal to the Phrygian sense reference distinction, where 2 people can use different descriptions but refer to the same entity. If incorrectly ascribing different properties to the same entity necessitates 2 distinct gods between Muslims and Christians, then by greater reason, 2 entities truly possessing different properties should necessitate 2 distinct gods in the case of the Trinity. In other words, if 2 entities not possessing identical attributes is sufficient for not being the same God in the Islamic versus Christian conceptions of God, then likewise, the Father and Son not possessing identical attributes should be sufficient for not being the same God. This forms a strong dilemma for Nick. Either lacking identical attributes is sufficient for counting as 2 gods, or it is not. If it is sufficient, then the Father and Son cannot be the same God. If it is not sufficient, then merely citing the distinction between the Muslim and Christian conceptions of God is insufficient for justifying the claim that there are 2 different gods. Nick and the Ortho Bros must appeal to something else besides mere distinction. Last but not least, my final objection also relates to Nick's Trinitarian model regarding the essence-energies distinction. In light of Nick, Jay Dyer, and the Eastern Orthodox claiming that God is fully present in all of his attributes and all of his energies, this results in the same absurdity parroted by Sam Shamoun, that there are such things as uncreated birds, clouds, fires, flesh, and blood. Why? Well, because they claim that only God is worshipped. The Theophanies, or appearances of God in the Bible, are worshipped. Therefore, the appearances of God in the Bible are uncreated and fully divine. No aspect of them is created at all. But God appears as a cloud, bread, fire, bird, and wrestler in the Bible. This means that Nick affirms uncreated clouds, bread, fires, birds, and wrestlers. If all birds are created, then Nick's Trinitarian theology is false. Otherwise, Nick has uncreated birds with feathers in his paradigm, which is absurd. This is why Augustine, Aquinas, and the Catholics following them believe that these are created effects of God, not uncreated clouds and birds. On the other hand, if these entities are merely created effects of God and are worshipped, then you have idolatry, as things other than God are being worshipped. Jay Dyer says, and I quote, Pentecost is an uncreated fire that falls upon the apostles, close quote. The same is true for the other entities God appears as in the Bible. Nick has a tough task ahead of him. He must provide a consistent response to the LPT as to why there are not 3 gods in the Trinity. He must also explain why the energies are not an infinite amount of gods, why he can say mere distinction is sufficient to declare the Muslim and Christian as worshiping 2 different gods, but it isn't sufficient for the Father and Son, and lastly, how uncreated birds, fires, and clouds makes any sense at all. Thank you, and I look forward to the rest of the debate.
Right on time. Perfect. Excellent. All right. Thank you for that, Jake. Nick, do you have slides you want to put up, or?
No.
All right. We'll go back to this layout. All right. Perfect. So you have a 5-minute rebuttal. I will start on your first word whenever you are ready.
Cool. So his whole argument was about what I predicted in my opening slides, which was metaphysics, which has nothing to do with the topic of logic. He talked about there being theophanies of uncreated birds. Whether or not it's even true that there's theophanies of uncreated birds has nothing to do with how we count God, and if God is multiple or not, given the model that I give. He gave a appeal to Jay Dyer fallacy, my great brother Jay Dyer, quoting Jay talking about Pentecost. Again, nothing to do with the topic of whether or not it's illogical. All of these things, there could be uncreated birds, and it has nothing to do with the Trinity model that I gave. He's going to have to prove my Trinity model that I gave is actually wrong. He asked if distinction is sufficient for counting different gods. Again, that has to do with metaphysics. What the distinction is, and understanding what the distinction is between 1 or 2 gods has to do with the metaphysics of the thing. It has nothing to do with how we actually model it itself. He said there needs to be a non-ad hoc counting method. So again, while I believe that the way that I'm counting is not ad hoc, even if it was ad hoc, logic doesn't care whether or not your counting method is ad hoc. All that logic cares about is whether or not that it's consistent. So even if it's an ad hoc counting method, as long as it is consistent, there is no issue. It is logical according to what the SCP defines as this. He brought up the church fathers again. What the church fathers believe and don't believe has nothing to do with my specific model. He's going to have to deal with my model in the cross-examination. He also brought up the human nature argument of, oh, well, why is there multiple different humans? Well, the difference is going to be our metaphysical commitments into what we believe about these things. And so the reason we count different humans is because of the fact that we're presupposing the metaphysics of what we believe about humans. In this model, in the set that I'm giving, we're presupposing no metaphysics here. I'm simply showing you the set, I'm showing you the model, and you're going to have to show me how the model itself is illogical and it doesn't work. So what Jake is going to have to do in the cross exam is, instead of showing me that the metaphysics doesn't make sense, even if all my metaphysics could make no sense, right? The divine energies could make no sense. The Theophanies could make no sense. That's an entirely different debate. What he's going to have to show me is that the logic of my model itself does not make sense. And I can't wait to do that.
Right now, America has a shortage of over 20,000 gunsmiths. And that means tens of thousands of gunsmithing jobs and opportunities are sitting wide open. And you could be stepping into one and claim your freedom and enjoy what you're doing. Hi, I'm Gene Kelly, president of the American Gunsmithing Institute. And over the last 30 years, I've trained thousands of people just like you.
Can I ask a random, strange question?
Man has never been higher. Shops are begging for guns.
Why the fuck are you getting a gunsmith
right now, customers are waiting
commercial?
sometimes months just to get their guns worked on. But let me tell you a story. My gunsmithing journey started the day I almost destroyed my dad's 97.
All right.
What a random commercial.
Sorry, guys. Inspiring philosophy is a little greedy with the fucking ads, so we're just gonna have to suffer through that.
What a random fuck advertising. Hey, do you want to become a gunsmith?
Yeah, that is a bit bizarre, isn't it? Yeah, out of nowhere. Hey, you want to know how to build guns? No, not really. But whatever. Okay.
Oh, what a
All right.
commercial.
Sounds good. All right, we'll toss it back to Jake for his 5-minute rebuttal. I will start on your first word, Jake. The floor is all yours.
Okay, so Nick wants to keep making this sharp distinction between what he's calling metaphysics and logic on the other hand. I presented several arguments, one being the LPT, that if we count by identity, which is the normal standard way in which we count today, and I cited Branson, who was an Eastern Orthodox scholar, to back that up, and I don't think Nick or anyone else really is going to dispute that, then we would count the Trinity as being three gods. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit are each God. They're distinct from each other, so they would count as three gods. Nick didn't even attempt to respond to that, other than saying that the distinction between that case and the case that Gregory of Nyssa brings up, where there are three men, Peter, James, and John, sharing the same nature. And the point is to show that there's an inconsistency, internal inconsistency within the model and within the claims itself. And that is, if simply sharing or possessing the same nature is sufficient for counting as one in the category of whatever we're counting, then they would have to count as one man too. And that's pretty much what Gregory of Nyssa says, but nobody really believes that there's only one man on this platform right now. There's Michael Jones, Fearless Truth, and Jake Brancatella. If I came up here and said there's only one man on here, people would think that I'm crazy and I should probably be in a nut house. So, I mean, there's really not much to go off of because Nick's presentation was very minimal. All he did was say that all he needs to do is provide a consistent theory in some type of logical structure or system, and that is sufficient. Well, no, that's not sufficient, because some of my arguments that I presented are pressing for internal consistency within your own model and within your own paradigm. Okay, so the LPT hasn't been dealt with at all. I mean, you have not shown us how I'm going wrong by counting gods by identity. And if you say, well, Jake, if you're not wrong to count gods by identity, that is a potential way that you can count. Well, then you're admitting that in a certain sense, and in a certain sense that is genuine, that there are actually three gods in the Trinity. Now, if you want to admit that, then fine. I mean, much of the debate is going to be over. On the other hand, about the energies, why that is relevant is it's a further extension of the LPT, because if each energy is fully God and they are distinct from each other and distinct from the persons in the divine essence, and there are an infinite amount of energies, then you wind up with an infinite amount of gods. And there was no response to that whatsoever. I mean, I'm quite shocked. What else? Besides that, about the distinction between the Muslims and Christians, I would like to know from Nick if he believes that Muslims and Christians worship the same God. I think that he takes the position that they do not. And the claim is that they do not because they have different descriptions. Nick believes that God is a Trinity. Jake doesn't, or Muslims don't. Therefore, that means that they're not worshiping the same God. And what the underlying assumption behind this is that mere distinction and descriptions of our conceptions of God is sufficient for them being two gods. Well, if that's the case, and we apply that to the Trinity, then since Father and Son really are different, they really do have different properties, that should be sufficient for counting them as more than one God. So it's a consistency argument. It's an internal critique, and simply saying we don't have to worry about counting or metaphysics doesn't really answer the problem or solve anything. Last but not least, your position regarding the Theophanies is relevant because this is a debate on whether or not the Trinity itself is coherent. I'm making the claim that all birds are created. Nick, if you believe that God appears as a bird or a wrestler or as fire or bread or anything else, and those are all uncreated, then you would have to be committed to the idea that there are such things as uncreated birds, uncreated fires, uncreated breads. My argument is very simple. All of those things are necessarily created. You're claiming that they're uncreated. That is the distinction between us. So you have to defend the position that there are actually uncreated birds, or tell me no, that you don't actually believe that. Now, I look forward to the discussion and hopefully the conversation progressing. Thank you.
Good. Thank you for that. All right. So now we're going to go to cross-examination. So Nick, you get to cross-examine Jake for 15 minutes. Ready when you are. I will start on your first word. You're muted. Hold on.
My bad.
Not
Can
here.
you hear me?
Yeah, okay. Yep, there you go. Good.
Jake, what is an identity operator in first order logic?
What does that have to do with my argument?
Because I'm giving you a formalization, and formalization uses an identity operator. So I'm asking, do you know what it is?
I have no idea what it is.
Okay, an identity operator in first order logic is basically the symbol that deduces that one thing is equal to another. Are you familiar with that?
Okay, one thing being equal to another, and yeah.
Okay. Do you think that identity operators in first order logic are limited to absolute identity?
I don't know what you mean by the question.
So when we use the equal symbol in first order logic, is it limited to absolute identity, or can we use other types of identity?
It depends on what system it is. It depends on who is using the equal sign. It can be interpreted differently.
So it can be used differently?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, great. So I'm going to show you a formalization here that I used. This formalization is going to deduce why we believe that it is one God. And I'll go ahead and share my screen here.
All right, I'll get that up. Oh, okay, yeah. All right, I'm ready.
All right, it's on the screen.
Okay, there you go.
All right, so I put this into a formalization using first order logic, and I was curious if you could find a logical inconsistency with this.
Was this part of your original presentation?
No, when I said I was going to formulate it, this is what it's about. No.
Okay, so this was not.
No.
Yeah. So if you're merely talking about
real quick, guys. Part of it appears to not be on the screen there, Nick. It looks like where the F equals, there's an underscore.
Sure. Yeah,
I paused the time. Let me just fix that a little bit.
Yeah, it's okay. It's you can see right there. It's just a G. That's all it is.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I'll continue your time. Go ahead.
Yeah. So if the question is, and this is what seems to be the hang up, or what your approach is, the entire.
So my logic reading is a little fuzzy, but I think this is, if I'm assuming the variables, the values of the variables he's using here, then we have Father is not equal to the person of the Son and the Father, which is not equal to the person of the Holy Spirit and the Son, which is not equal to the person of the Holy Spirit and the person. Yeah, this is my my familiar.
I'm glad you can read it, because for me it looks like hard.
I remember the and symbol. I think the parentheses is a relative denotation. I might be wrong about that. So person of the Father, and person of the Son, and person of the Holy Spirit, and Father equals, he's got to zoom that out.
If you think that, and I'm just grabbing the book here because it's relevant to what I'm going to say now. If you think that merely providing
Father equals, and the G is probably the God, so this is the essence, this is the person. He's drawing those delineations between the two. So the upper G must be the essence of God. The P is the identity of the person. This is the part of the identity operator, which is then differentiating the identity operation from the essence operation, which is the uppercase G. So the Father equals G, the Holy Spirit and Son. Father is equal in essence as God to Holy Spirit and Son. Wow, man, I really have to dust off like some of my old logic, like what the symbols mean and everything. You don't see this. You don't often see someone do an actual.
Do you want me to read it?
Logical formulation of the Trinity. I mean, if you can, yeah, go ahead.
For me, it says F doesn't equals PSA doesn't equals PSA PFF.
No,
that is higher than PS. That is higher than PH.
That's not quite accurate.
I know.
It looks symbol right
but
here.
I'm just saying that is how it looks like for me.
So this symbol right here, the tent symbol you see here, this is and. If it was upside down, it would be or. Okay. So this is basically a logical conjunction here. which is connecting, not equating, but connecting the variables. So God is Holy Spirit and God Father and God Son and God Holy Spirit. So yeah, okay. It's, you know what? It's a tough thing to dust off. The underscore. I don't remember what the underscore is. Do you guys remember what the underscore is in formal logic? Let me look it up real quick. I'm not sure I remember that one. Underscore in formal logic. Let's see. In formal logic and related computers, the underscore is primarily used as a character in identifier names, e.g., proposition, to enhance readability, allowing multi-word variables. It is often used as a placeholder or throwaway variable in functional programming logic frameworks to denote an unused argument. Variable constant identifier in propositional logic frameworks, like Stanford's Intro to Logic, an underscore is used to connect strings within propositional constants, e.g., raining underscore or underscore snowing. Okay. So it's really to connect the chain. Okay. Yeah, that's what it is. Although not standard in classical logic and some documentation systems, one is a wildcard representing any of their several forms. Okay. All right. So there's where you connect strings within propositional constants. Okay. Okay. So that's really what it seems to. It's actually connecting the strings right here. So you have the F all the way down to here, which is basically giving a string of all the persons identifier here of the logical formula. So it's connecting all the personhoods here, and then you have a break of it, and then it goes back to connecting all of the essence dynamics of the godhood over here. You know, I mean, even if I'm having some struggles even with some of the direct formulations of exactly what this is. And it's very clever to do this. I know Jake is completely in the weeds. He has no freaking clue what the hell he's looking at here. And it's going to show. Let's move on. But this is interesting. I don't think I've ever seen anyone write an actual formal logical structure for the Godhead. I don't know if I've seen that before. So this is actually very interesting to me.
A logical structure on paper in which the Trinity can fit in and be consistent within that structure itself, then sure, I fully grant that.
So you
see, this is where he's going. This is why he keeps referencing. If you listen later on, he'll talk about the relative identity qualifier. Did he say relative identity argument? But however he puts it, relative identity, he's presenting this idea that something can be two different things, but still the same thing. So like a quick example would be like a statue. A statue is in the shape of a thing that makes it a statue, right? Like say it's Michelangelo. It's also made out of something, marble or clay or some other medium. So it is both of these things at the same time. What it is has a position or a superposition of relativity to its identity. So it is possible for something to be entirely one thing and also entirely another thing without there being an inherent contradiction. Jake's whole challenge relies upon the idea that something cannot be more than one thing at a time. And so this relative identity qualifier that he's bringing in here, this framework is completely shattering the way that Jake attacks. And it's very philosophically dishonest the way that Jake attacks. It doesn't even fit in metaphysics, but he pretends like it does. And this is outright exposing Jake right now for the faults inside his own propositional logic. And that's why I think this is really so brilliant and so career ending for Jake, if anyone's following it. Hey, Michael. How you doing, man? Been a while since I've seen you. Right. Thank you. Correct. Thank you. As a sortal. Correct. Thank you. Yes. Very good, Michael. Good to see you, by the way. Thanks for stopping in. All right. Moving on.
Fully grant that according to the structure that the Trinity is logically consistent?
I mean, I'll give an example. Peter Van Inwagen in this text here goes into quite a bit of detail regarding relative identity, and he formulates the Trinity and his particular model and understanding in what he calls relative identity logic. So yes, if you're using a relative identity logical structure in a similar way that Peter Van Inwagen is, then it can be self-consistent, but that has nothing to do with my argument.
So you agree, though, the model I gave is indeed logical. So the Trinity, the model that I gave, is indeed logically consistent?
No.
Okay, so can you tell me an inconsistency with this right here that I just gave you?
I think the problem that you're not understanding is merely because you can put the model into a specific logical structure that you hold to, and it can be consistent within that therefore it's logical in the general sense. No,
what is logical? What does it mean for something to be logically consistent according to the classical
exactly. That's what the debate is. And the point is that if you are using a logical structure or a logical system like Van Inwagen does in the book, right, where he uses relative identity logic, and this is what he describes it as, then yes, it can be consistent within its own paradigm. However, I do not ascribe to that paradigm. I do not believe in or agree with relative identity logic.
Okay, that's fine. I didn't ask whether or not you agree.
Did my screen disappear? What happened there?
Hey,
Dave, what's up?
I just got in from outside. I was outside.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
What you got going on? How long you been? Oh, over an hour already. Okay.
Yeah, we were just watching this debate here. Watching Jake, the Muslim metaphysician, get completely spanked.
All right. Just thought I'd say hi quick, and I'm just doing stuff. I just thought I'd drop in and see what's going on.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Yeah, no problem. No big deal. Yeah, we're just hanging out. I'm working on a few things here, but yeah, just letting this play, doing some light review here and there. My voice is a little sore, so
it's a beautiful day here again. 70. It got to 70, so I'm going to enjoy it.
It's not not as hot as it was, but it's warm. Yeah, it's nice.
Right. At least it's something here.
Right.
70 degrees here is like 90. This time of year.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We're just happy to get it.
All right. Okay. Very cool. Well, yeah. Well, feel free to.
Did you talk to any creepos today or whatever, or some crazy Christians?
Who? What now?
Any crazy Christian activity?
Well, no. Sammy wanted to come in and talk about the spider shit, and I'm so sick of fucking hearing about it.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no. I just been trying to mainly just go through the debate is all really.
Okay. All right, man. I'll be around in the background. I'll be just.
All right, man.
In standby.
All right, that's cool, buddy. No problem.
Agree with relative identity logic, and I'm asking, what is the standard definition that classical logicians use for what does logical consistency mean?
I believe you put it in your opening statement.
Yes, it is that there is at least one model that provides no contradictions and is consistent within itself. So this model that I just gave, is this logically consistent, or does it have a contradiction within it?
No, in terms of its own, I mean, I'm repeating the same thing. It's just there. I think what you don't realize, or maybe the audience may not realize, is that there is not one logical system, right? There are different logical systems. There are some logical systems which accept true contradictions, in which people like J.C. Beale, who is a logician and philosopher, would say that, and it's sometimes called dialetheism, that there could be such things as true contradictions, and that's fully consistent within the logical system itself.
I agree.
What's that?
I agree that paraconsistent logic. I agree. I know all of these things. Okay, but I'm asking you, according to what
your own logical system, the answer has been the same the entire time. In your own logical system, if you're using relative identity logic, then yes, it can be formalized in a consistent manner within its own paradigm.
Okay, so the question is, according to the definition that classical logicians use, which is that for something to be logically consistent, unless you can give a different definition that you can provide a source for, the one that the logicians use is that if we can provide at least one model that is consistent, has no contradictions, it can be considered logically consistent. So according to that definition, is the Trinity model that I gave logically consistent? Yes or no?
It all depends on how we're defining logic. That's the whole point.
I just told you how we define it.
So are you accepting any logical system whatsoever?
We're talking about classical. That's why I said, according to classical, we're talking about classical logic right now. So according to classical logic, I gave you the definition of logical consistency. So can you answer the question now? is this
I am
model?
answering the question. I am answering the question. I'm
Okay,
saying
so just according to that, I'm not asking about different models. So just yes
Yeah,
or no.
it's relevant. It's relevant.
Is the Trinity logically consistent according to this model?
It's consistent in the same way that J.C. Beale's contradictory Christ is consistent.
Okay, I'm asking, is it consistent according to the classical definition of logically consistent?
Only in the sense in which you use the term logic in such a general way to include all of these different formulations of logic, which I don't accept.
We're only using one. We're using first order logic.
Yes, and you're using relative identity logic, aren't you?
There's no such thing as relative identity logic. Relative identity is just a type of identity operator within first order logic. So again,
yes, you are relativizing identity, correct?
We're using the relative identity operator. It's not its own type of logic.
Identity is being relativized. I don't accept relative identity. That's the point.
Great. Whether or not you accept a relative identity, I'm not asking whether you accept it. I'm asking if there is a contradiction according to this view, or if we use the Trinity in this formulation, would that be logical?
And I already responded. When you say, would you say, would that be logical? According to Jake's logical paradigm, and according to the logical paradigm that is the standard amongst logicians and philosophers, the answer would be no.
I'm not asking according to your paradigm. I'm asking according to the paradigm of classical logicians when they define logical consistency. Is this model I gave logically consistent according to that definition?
Oh man, I think you're missing the point. When you keep using the word logical and logic according to classical logicians, I'm saying to you that my interpretation of that is not an all-encompassing buffet of whatever you want to input. I don't accept relative identity or relativizing identity as a genuine aspect.
Brother, please, I'm not asking if you accept it. I'm not asking that. I'm not asking if you use it in your words. It's not what I'm asking. Okay. What I'm asking is if you want to deny the definition that I gave a source for as well, for the consistency. So I'm not asking about your logic, what you take from, etc. I'm asking using the relative identity operator in the formulation I gave, according to the definition that classical logicians use, is it logically consistent?
No.
Please, yes or no?
No.
Okay, so great. So then according to my definition, you said you agreed with it, that there must be a contradiction within this. So if you could put it back up on the screen, and I would like Jake to show the inconsistency here.
Again, I don't know if I'm talking beyond you or you're not understanding me. When you keep asking if it's logically consistent, it means according to what logical system?
I just told you first order logic.
According to what logical system? And if you're asking me, is it consistent in a logical system which accepts identity being relativized? Then the answer is yes. If it's in a system that does not accept identity being relativized or take that as a genuine standard, then the answer is no.
Okay, does classical logic accept relative identity as a part of a specific model that can be used?
That's debated. Branson, for example, himself seems to think that it doesn't.
Okay, so do you believe it does?
No.
Or are you just saying you don't know?
No.
Okay, why do you believe that?
As I said, because I'm appealing to others who are experts in the field who are saying that no, how you define classical logic or classical identity is going to be understood in a specific way that does not have identity being relativized.
Wait, do you even know how to read this? Can you put it back on the screen? Do you know how to read this? Like, do you know what I'm saying here?
Dude, are you out of your mind? You're not
asking you. If not, it's okay. It's totally fine.
You're not listening to what I'm saying at all.
Okay, I understand. I'm asking a question. Do you know how to read this?
No, I do not.
So, all right, bro, you could have just said that from the jump, bro. Okay.
None of this has anything to do with what I'm saying.
But it doesn't, bro. It does, because I told you that, okay, what is a model? In classical logic, what is a model?
Model is a set of premises that are being used to describe a particular doctrine.
What?
Yeah.
No, that's no.
Jay, I see you in the back, but I don't recognize you. If you could let me know what you're here for, if you have a challenge or something. Oh God, I gotta always do this dumb fucking bullshit for this. Hold on. Give me a minute. No, I can't use that. That would be terrible. What happened to Mike? Oh, yeah, there it is. That was the one. That's always good for general new people about to come in. Okay, whatever. All right, Jay, what's up?
Not much. So I was just gonna say, I guess when they're talking about logic and things like that, I guess my guess is how Jake is basically saying he can't understand the Trinity because he thinks it's illogical. But I just have two examples to give for Jake. One of them being if you take a look at the sun, the source of life for humans, and if you take a look at water, which is something that's necessary for humans as well. You look at both of those things, the sun and water. Sun consists of the physical planet of the sun. It also has light and it also has heat. There are three different things, but it's one sun. If you also look at water, it's two hydrogen molecules, one oxygen, H2O. It's three molecules in one that consists of water. There are three different molecules, but it's one water. And like I said, same thing. So when they say, "Oh, hey, this is not logical," I mean, I guess you could look at it in a similar way with when you look at those two life-giving sources for humans. They're three in one. I mean, I guess to give you a third would be a brick. A brick consists of fire, mud, and water, but it's one brick. So I guess that's kind of where, I don't know what Jake's response is to that, but to me, it just seems like if you look at that is, I mean, that's logical. I mean, it sounds like it would be illogical. How can you have three things in one? But obviously with our experience, it is three in one.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, good take. Okay, are you Christian or by any chance? I take it, or
yeah, Christian,
Trinitarian.
Yeah, Orthodox Christian.
Oh, Orthodox. Okay. Ecumen or just
like you mean
are you
when you say,
baptized? Like, are
yeah,
you baptized?
I'm baptized. Yep.
Okay. All right. Just checking. Just curious. Okay. All right. Very cool. Well, I guess we'll get back to this unless there's anything else you wanted to add. You're welcome to stick around if you want to contribute as we move forward. I'm doing a couple things around here in the back. So.
Okay. Is Jake and Mike available to respond, I guess, to those things?
Well, they're not here. This is just
okay. This is just okay. I see what you're saying. I see. I just joined, so that's probably why.
No, it's all good. Yeah, no, this is just a debate review. I think he got completely stomped with this logical position. So this was pretty, to me, this was detrimental to his career. If anyone was really kind of following what was going on, because if his whole challenge is that, the Trinity is illogical, but yet it does have a possible logical formulation, then his entire position, everything he's built his career on, is basically dead in the water. That's why I think if anyone was really paying attention, and I hope this debate got a lot of attention. I mean, it did okay, but I'd hope a lot of people would see this and realize how catastrophic this was for Jake's career, because I think, this really stomped him into the dirt. This was brutal. This was bloody.
Oh, absolutely. And I've seen Jake debate before. I mean, I've seen him debate God logic. I mean, it's just they can't really get away from. They can't really debate you without implementing some sort of trickery or like manipulations, and they kind of switch the topics up a little bit. And I mean, it's like. And I just say, and honestly, I have a friend who left Islam because of this, because he was seeing Zakir Naik. I don't know if you know him.
Yeah.
So he saw Zakir Naik and he realized that, well, geez, Zakir Naik, pretends to be, like all this knowledgeable, but in reality, he just doesn't really. He's not honest with his debates. And then he also saw. With Sheikh Uthman and a bunch of those other guys, Muslim or Orthodox Muslim Lantern, and he realizes that they can't even be honest with what their stuff actually says. So he actually left Islam, and I'm glad that he became Christian. But it's like, I hope people realize that these people are not being honest when it comes to. I don't know. They're not being honest when it comes to their own books, and I'm a big fan of debating, and just obviously, fruitful debates, of course, not just senseless debates, but I think when you come to see, like, when Muslims talk about Islam, it just I don't know. I just see over and over again. They just either they run away from the topic or they just don't address it head on, or if they do address it, they use a lot of trickery and manipulation and deception. So it's just it's unfortunate, but I guess you're Christian as well, I take it.
Well, that's a complicated thing to answer right now. I'm in a phase, let's just put it that way. I haven't really decided where I'm at with it at this particular stage. There's been a lot of things that have been somewhat of a challenge, but it has been interesting, I'll tell you that. And it has really helped certain so-called believers really show the whole world their true colors. And you know, I will say this, I still find, I don't know if this means anything, but despite my displeasure with Christianity in the West as a whole and what God has allowed it to become and so on and so forth, general complaint. I just it's perplexing and a bit infuriating to see such a lack of cogency, coherency, centralization. You know, it's kind of just a giant mess. Like if anyone could point to, you know, the body of Christ today, you know, what is that? Where is that? Is it just some ineffable, invisible thing that I just accept is out there? That somehow there's just a, you know, connected yet, you know, socially disjointed group of people who are truly saved that, you know, are amongst that family, while the whole rest of the so-called body of Christ is filled with rancid bio waste and malignant tumors, you know. I don't know.
Yeah, I understand that. I do. I definitely do. It kind of sounds like me, like about 11 years or 10, 11 years ago. When I found the Eastern Orthodox Church, all those questions got answered for me in such a beautiful way. And, you know, I realized, yeah, my faith is in God. You know, it's not in people, you know, not in people in the church, but the faith is in God. And when I realized how just ancient that faith is and how it just has not changed since the time of Jesus, that's what really kind of got me back into it. Because, you know, literally, when you were talking now, I was thinking in my head, oh my gosh, like that literally sounds like me, you know, like, you know, 9, 10, 11 years, maybe, yeah, 10, 11 years ago ish. And
I don't think I haven't looked into the core apostolic churches, and I don't want to make it a whole thing about that today, but I promise you I'm not some just random Protestant brain that has no real justification for his positions or beliefs or rejection of certain superpositions or denominations or things like that. I don't make these decisions lightly. In fact, sometimes I even torture myself over them.
Right.
So when I tell you I don't feel comfortable with the idea of adopting things like Catholicism or Eastern Orthodox, I'm not just saying that from some sort of ingrained position. In fact, I actually find the showmanship and pageantry of those churches to be rather alluring in a general sense, to be honest with you. But for some reason, my conscience won't permit me down that road. And it's not just because I have an inkling or a feeling, but I do have solid arguments, but I don't think this is necessarily the right time to dig into that.
Right.
This is more Trinity.
Right.
Really, but maybe another time. Maybe another,
Yeah.
you know, maybe I don't think I've ever done that show, you know, why I'm not, you know, Eastern Orthodox, even though I will admit it certainly has some appeal of pageantry and tradition and familiarity. And you know, the one thing I'll say about this in terms of like an Eastern Orthodox, I really do feel that you could be an Eastern Orthodox and go anywhere in the world to anywhere where there is another Eastern Orthodox church and step in and be welcomed like a true brother. I'm sure, you know, and I don't know too many other, you know, wholesale denominations you could say a lot of that type of thing about, you know, where even with cultural differences and divisions that there would still be a spiritual embrace. That's one thing I would give them credit for. They have that type of dynamic, which I think is very, very interesting and enriching. But there's other things I just won't, seemingly in my current state with my current conscience, be able to get on board with. So
Sure. Yeah.
I had a Catholic last night, Ben Thorpe. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
Ben Thorpe? I don't think so.
Yeah, I was arguing with him over on Christian King's channel. a little bit
Oh,
because
yeah.
he's a Catholic. He's a Catholic, and I was, I don't like the whole. The thing that frustrates me. I would give Eastern Orthodox, a lot more credit to having kept closer to church tradition. Now, I would still argue you guys still broke it after 750 AD, but that's a whole different thing. But I would still be able to say that when the Catholic's sitting up there, he's like, we're the true original apostolic church. No, you're not. You're a cult of papist, extremist, rebels who consolidated theological power and political power under Rome, and then established the first ex cathedra teaching in 1050 around there AD at the church split to basically force, the adoption of the filioque. And this, of course, created a massive tremor in the Christian world, the likes of which had never really been seen before, where all the tiny fractures over the era had now, crystallized into one massive split. And there you have really, in my view, in church history, the origination of what is the Roman Catholic papal cult that split off from anything that could possibly be considered historic, traditional Christianity, where doctrine and teaching was established by collection of patriarchs and ecumenical councils, and not just by the individual musings of one singular man. So,
right. Right.
So
Yeah,
you can see, I don't take these ideas lightly, and I have good reasons for why I don't feel comfortable adopting particular denominations. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's like that's been, I certainly understand, and I think, when Catholics say that they can trace their roots all the way back, technically they can through apostolic succession, sure, because from St. Peter, but at the same time, it doesn't mean that they haven't changed their theology, and or they haven't changed certain things about it. But but at the same time, with Orthodoxy, what I like about that is that the theology has really not changed at all. When you said 750, I'm thinking about iconoclasm. Is that what you're referring to?
Yep, nailed it. Yeah.
And then
Council of Hyrera and the two councils after that, which really to me was the destruction of church tradition at that point. At that point, to me, it was people saying we don't care about church tradition anymore.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, it's
when you're rewriting. I mean, when we get to 1050 church split, I think that whole thing was an unnecessary abomination. To be honest with you, a massive split that essentially was doing something that probably shouldn't have been done, which is time to essentially rewrite a previous council's creed, probably the most important council in all of church history, oddly enough. That's problematic. The type of arrogance that professes from one as they progress to be in that type of position, I find problematic. I have someone here named James. Bear with me.
Sure.
All right. Let me see here. Yeah. Okay. James, go ahead if you want to unmute and introduce yourself. What's up?
Hey, how you doing? My name is
doing all right, man.
James.
What's going on?
Name's James. From Phoenix. I just wanted to join in on like a live call just because I was like just thinking to myself about stuff on the Bible and all that, and I saw you guys there, and I was like, you know what, I might as well just join. So I just wanted to know what was up.
Okay, that's cool. What theological position are you, or what beliefs do you kind of adopt or think you're moving towards?
I'm Protestant.
Okay.
Protestant.
Like just generally Protestant? Like do you have a
No, I mean
denomination?
Like I don't really like, I'm not really picky with denomination. I mean, there's some that I don't really agree with as much, but I grew up Protestant, and I was also surrounded by Catholics, and my girlfriend's a Lutheran, so I go to church with her in a Lutheran church. So I grew up in a non-denominational Protestant, but I mean, of course, non-denominational is a denomination, so it doesn't, it's nothing really crazy, but I don't know. I was just looking forward to like talking about the Word of God with you guys.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's cool, man. Yeah, we don't do as much of that as we used to. In fact, there's another channel where we do that absolutely all the time. Dave runs a channel called the News Unit Broadcast. You should definitely subscribe to that. If you need it, I can link it in the back. But that's where we do a lot of, he does a lot of like reading through the Bible studies and parsing things out. And, you know, we have some adversaries and some contentious individuals that roam around here and there, but, you know, we do have a lot of thrilling conversations over there too. So, you know, that's
What are
a
you
good
guys
chance.
talking about right now?
Well, right now we're reviewing a debate, or we were, and we were talking a little bit about orthodoxy here. We got a little distracted. But we are going through a debate, which is a Trinity debate between Jake and this guy. I forget his name. Sorry, not someone I recognized from anyone before, but some sort of logician about whether or not the Trinity is logical or not. And Jake is getting completely stomped the hell out. And it's hilarious, actually. It's been a lot of fun to watch. So that's really what we're doing, mainly. So.
My gosh. That's cool, though. So how's that going so far? Are you guys almost done with that?
Well, let's see here. Where are we at on this? I have it going at 1.25 speed. We're almost halfway through it. Yeah. So we're getting there. Yep. We're on our way. Yeah.
No worries.
My lovely wife is at work. She'll be done in about an hour and a half, so I'll have to go pick her up. But we'll just let this mostly go. I don't have a lot going on, but I will end it this afternoon to make her dinner. She's a little sickly today. She had a lot of fun celebrating her birthday over the weekend, but she's very, very tired. And I'm going to take care of her a little bit tonight. So hopefully she'll be thankful. Anyway. Okay, so we'll get back to the debate here. We'll pick up the orthodoxy stuff. And by the way, guys, too, we have links to our link. I put a link to our Discord server in the description of the video here. So if you guys want to stay up on when we do new lives, you know, open panels, stuff like that, that would be the thing to join. So if there's anyone out there that wants to know about the live shows and joining panels and all that, they're always announced there. So just join the Discord. And I'll sometimes people in the community have talks in there too and stuff like that. So help yourselves. Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, no, that's not,
Thanks for having
okay, that's not what it is. Okay. What we're talking about when we understand what it is, it's a specific domain that is being used. Okay. It's a specific domain. We can use a identity operator. It's using different logical symbols, etc. This is what I'm giving. The reason why I asked you that question.
There's no content?
No, the content is the things like the identity operator. And the predicates.
What is the content? What is the meaning behind them?
The predicates. Okay, first order logic doesn't deal with content behind the predicates. Okay, that's basically no. Okay, you don't deal with the contents behind the predicates. You do the predicates themselves. Okay, so again, the reason why I ask you what a model is because according to my definition of logically consistent is, and again, the one I gave, SEP, is that there is one model, which is what I gave you just now, that there is one.
You know, the thing that I find frustrating is that when you, and especially when you have someone like Jake, Jake knows it's already been exposed. It's already been talked about. Jake has already had to admit, hey, I can't read this. I don't know what this is. Okay. And the whole topic, the entire topic of the debate is the logical coherency of the Trinity. Is the Trinity illogical? This is a very, very simple challenge, which Jake is completely failing because he is out of his depth here. He has postured himself over having this type of competent understanding of metaphysics and the challenge of the Trinity and some sort of dilemma to the Trinity. And he's getting completely ripped apart, having it finally put into direct formal logic right in front of him, and even given the exact operator that's being used in the formal logic, which is the relative identity operator, which is brilliant and absolutely fits in this scenario. It is absolutely recognized as logically coherent, and Jake cannot handle it. There is no logical problem here for him to critique or dismantle. This really is showing to me the end of Jake's career at logically insulting or logically attacking the Trinity. I had an argument a while back about it was useless for Jake to even argue for Islam anymore at all, because when Jake does do what he is doing, he is committing a form of shirk. Every time Jake attacks the Trinity, he commits a form of shirk. He's attempting to take the true God, the God of the Christians, the God that he also believes in, and bring him down to the human level to make sure that his personhood and essence is directly equivalent at the exact same as the human level. making God's essence the same as humans' essence in order to parse it apart and demand that it be logical at the same level and sharing the same type of essence category, being able to parse out and be understood and being able to be quantified exactly the same way. That is creating or associating a partner with Allah. That is shirk. That's the unforgivable sin in Islam. There's no reason for Jake to argue for Islam at all anymore. He is a reprobate in his own religion. He should give it up. It's doing him no favors nor anyone else. His entire shtick of attacking the Trinity has caused him to commit unforgivable blasphemy in his own religion. So there's really no point sticking with it. I made this point a long time ago. Everyone ignored it. Whatever. Sometimes I come up with things, and sometimes you guys just ignore it. Sometimes you run with it. Sometimes it becomes a big deal. You never know.
Model in which you can give that is logically consistent. So again, I want to make this very clear and ask one more time. I don't care about any other model. I'm asking according to first order logic and classical logic. I'm asking specifically, would this Trinity model be logical?
No.
Okay, so then again, according to definition, it said that there has to be some sort of contradiction within the model itself that it would prove that it is illogical. So can you give me the
It doesn't have to be a contradiction within the model itself. What it is it's contradicting the standard logical framework that's used. You're appealing to SEP, Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy. If you look at their entry on identity, it defines classical identity as obeying Leibniz's law, which you are not obeying.
Wait. You think relative identity goes against Leibniz's law?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so you think the identity operator in Leibniz's law is necessarily absolute identity?
Leibniz's law, yes, it is absolute identity.
Oh, can you not say that A is equal to B in one sense, and then that proves that they're identical in that sense entirely?
Okay, do you want me to actually bring you up the source from Stanford Encyclopedia to show you what it actually says?
That says that the identity operator is necessarily absolute identity?
It tells you that classical identity is understood as obeying Leibniz's law. And
Amen. I agree. This is
classical identity is part of the classical logical framework. So if you're not obeying Leibniz's law in terms of absolute identity, then you are not obeying a part of the classical logical structure.
Okay, can you show me a source that necessitates that Leibniz's law uses absolute identity as the identity operator?
I can show you here.
I don't know how you can show me that when you didn't even know what an identity operator was 10 minutes ago. I don't know how you're going to show that.
Dude, if you want me to show it to you,
1 minute.
In my own time, so I don't waste your time, but I can show you exactly where the Stanford Encyclopedia entry explicitly states what classical identity is, how it's defined, and what domain it falls under, and yours does not follow that.
Okay, so I'll just ask one more question.
It's not part of classical identity.
It's okay, I'll just ask one more question. Okay, what is the formalization of statements such the inference rule determines three gods? Do you actually have a formalization of your statements?
Yeah, I gave it in my opening statement here. If I pull it up here, second.
Okay, so we can wait for him to do it, and I'll just ask him one question about that. I assume this will be the last question. So once he pulls that up, I'll ask him one question about it, and then we can move on.
So Branson says, today we count F's by one, logical subjects that are two, discernible from, or at least not identical to one another, and are F, that is, if X and Y differ in any way and are both F-ish, we count them as two F's. So if you plug the Father and Son, as an example, just as two, for simplicity's sake, the Father and Son are logical subjects that are discernible from each other.
I'll ask one more question since he pulled that up.
Not identical to each other, are both F, meaning are both God, and they differ, are both F-ish, so we count them as two F's. We count them as two gods.
You're at time. So
yeah, I'll ask him one more since he just pulled that up. I'll ask him this. What is
he doesn't have to answer, though.
Okay. I was going to ask you, what's the inference rule for that?
Yeah, it's his time now.
I don't think he knows.
Okay, so all right, so now we're going to throw it over to Jake for his 15-minute cross-examination. I will start the timer on your first word, Jake, whenever you're ready.
Okay, 1 second. I'm just removing this.
Gotcha.
Again. Okay, Nick, by what relation do you count gods in the Trinity?
Are you asking how we formulate it such that it's one God, or are you asking how we determine it, like in our epistemology?
No, I'm asking you, how do you count gods in the Trinity?
Sure, if you're asking how we formulate it, it's going to be using the relative identity operator.
Okay, so what makes it such that there's only one God in the Trinity?
Yeah, given that in our set of statements, there's only going to be one sortal.
One sortal, and what is that one sortal?
The sortal is going to be stand for God.
Okay, and what are the criteria to fulfill that sortal?
Yeah, a sortal itself doesn't have any underlying criteria more than just what it is itself, right? A sortal is just going to be a standard counting. It's going to be in place of a counting method, so it's going to be formalizing a certain statement. It doesn't say what the thing is itself.
How do you know what it is?
Yeah, we don't say what it is. We simply say it's God. It's standing in place for what we formalize.
So when we know it's God, we don't know exactly what the attributes of this God is.
So when you say God, there's no content behind it?
Yeah, the content behind it is going to have to do with epistemology. So we have content behind it, but it's going to have to do with the epistemology of the thing, the metaphysics, not of the logic.
What is the content?
Yeah, I mean, I'll answer the question, but it has nothing to do with the logic of the Trinity. The content behind it is going to be, the content behind it is obviously going to be what we believe the Christian God to be.
Okay, and who defines that?
What do you mean, who? I'm defining it in the statement.
Who defines what the Christian God is and the paradigm in which one is the same God and the other isn't?
Again, this has nothing to do with the topic, but to me, the Orthodox Church.
The Orthodox Church?
Yep.
Okay, so how do they know what it is? How do they define it?
Divine revelation.
Divine revelation? Okay, where does divine revelation tell you the criteria for counting as the same sort of God or not?
We don't. We use the formalization of statements for that.
So it doesn't tell you. There's no, what you're doing here is, and what everybody needs to see is, Nick is putting symbols on a page and saying these symbols are consistent with its own system, but there's no actual content that you're providing behind the symbols, correct?
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the model of the Trinity. The content has to do with the metaphysics, which we can provide, but again, it has nothing to do with the topic.
Okay, so what are the, it's not about the metaphysics, it's about how you are counting and arriving at there being one God. You're saying that they're one God because they are one sortal. What is that one sortal?
Yeah, the one sortal, again, if we want to get into metaphysics, is going to be the people that have the omni properties.
Okay, so having the omni properties is sufficient for counting as one God.
Yeah, that's what we define as one God, is going to be the being that has the omni properties.
And those are all essential properties. So sharing the same essential properties is sufficient for counting as one God?
Specifically the omni properties, yeah.
Hi, we're Charity Water. If we lost you at charity, we get it.
Okay, so what's the difference between that and the case of human beings, Peter, James, and John, when it comes to the example that I gave from Gregory of Nyssa?
That human beings are potentially instanced, while gods are not potentially instanced, because God has no potential under divine simplicity.
You cut out on my end. Can you repeat the last 10 seconds?
Yes, it's okay. Because humans are potentially instanced, while God is not. So we would believe that humans are particulars, while gods are not particulars.
Okay, and what establishes that gods are potentially not potentially instanced, but humans are?
Yeah, the fact that we believe God is pure act and he has no potential, because potential would lead to change, meaning that he's not perfect.
What does it mean for God to not have to be pure act and not change? You mean in any sense?
No, I mean specifically passive potential.
Okay, so do you believe that God acts in succession and does different things at different times?
Wouldn't say it's act in succession, but I would say he has active potential.
What do you mean? He doesn't, okay, let me ask it this way. Do his energies have a beginning in time?
If you mean that they temporally manifest, yeah, but it's not a beginning to them itself.
It's not a beginning to them themselves. So his energies only have a beginning in manifesting, but the energy itself doesn't have a beginning?
Correct.
And what's your justification for that according to the Orthodox Church?
That the energies are eternal according to St. Gregory Palamas.
Well, why does he say that some of them are not eternal?
Like what? Which ones are eternal?
Okay, let me ask it this way. According to Gregory Palamas, are all of the energies eternal?
Yeah, eternal in their ontology, yes, not in their manifestation.
Okay, so why does Gregory say the exact opposite?
Oh, where does he say that their ontology is created?
Okay, so you don't know your own church's
please, show
theology, so I'm going to have to show you what that is.
I would love to see where he says the ontology is created.
What's that, sorry?
I would love to see where he says the ontology of the energy is created, please.
Okay, so I'm going to read that quote in just a second. Do you believe that anything that has a beginning in time is created?
If you're talking about its manifestation, no, it's not necessarily created. If you're talking about its ontology, then yes.
The statement, anything that has a beginning in time is created. Is that true or false?
Are you talking about ontology or are you talking about manifestation?
Statement. I'm making a general statement. Listen again.
It's not
anything that has a beginning in time is created. Is that a true statement or a false statement?
Not if you're just talking about manifestation, no.
So it's a false statement. So there could be things.
If you're regarding manifestation as well, then yes, it's false.
So there could be things that have a beginning in time which are uncreated.
If you're just talking about when it manifests, then yes.
I'm talking about a general statement. There has nothing to do. You can fill in whatever you want.
Clarify. Are you asking about its ontology or its manifestation? Which one?
I'm asking, in general, is anything that has a beginning in time uncreated?
Again, if you're talking about manifestation, it can have a beginning or it cannot. If you're talking about its ontology, no, its ontology cannot be created. But again, none of this has to do with the Trinity being logical. This is crazy.
It actually does, because you're making the claim, and this is what you don't understand. You're making the claim that your system is consistent. I'm going into the details of your system.
You're going into the metaphysics of it.
Hold on a second. I'm asking the question now. As soon as we start to do so, you start fumbling. You don't even know that there are uncreated energies that have a beginning in time. You said all of them are
I'm
eternal.
still waiting on you to show me the quote of him saying its ontology has a beginning. Still waiting on it. You haven't showed it probably because you don't have it.
I will show that to
Yeah,
you.
well,
So
you
here
will later, but it's never going to happen.
Here he says that there are, however, energies of God which have a beginning and an end, as all saints will confirm. Our opponent, meaning Nick, thinks that everything which has a beginning is created. This is why he has stated that the only one reality is unoriginate.
Where does Nissa say it's about the ontology?
Let me finish.
No, you haven't even asked the question.
Let me finish. You asked me to read the quote. Now I'm reading it.
You haven't even getting a citation for it.
The essence of God, adding that what is not the essence derives from a created nature. So now I'm going to ask you.
What's the citation?
First of all, it's not Nissa. It's Gregory Palamas. It's Gregory Palamas, the triad. Let me finish.
Let's let Jake ask the question.
It's Gregory Palamas, the triads. Now, do you believe that the energies are uncreated realities?
Yes, they're uncreated realities which begin manifesting within time.
Okay, how many uncreated realities are there in God?
Yeah, we don't make a specific number to it.
Is there one or more than one?
In ontology, there's one.
Okay, and in ontology, they're one?
Absolutely.
In reality, how many are there?
In ontology, in reality, they're one.
So are there multiple realities within God?
Not if you're talking about ontology, no.
What else would be different between reality and ontology?
Yeah, you could be talking about the effect of them or their conception.
No, I'm talking about the actual entity itself.
Okay, so the entity is going to regarding ontology, so there's one.
Okay, so there's only one uncreated reality in God.
Yes, in ontology, yes.
Okay, so why does Gregory Palamas say exactly the opposite? He says, our opponent thinks that everything which has a beginning is created. This is why he, the opponent, has stated that only one reality is unoriginate, the essence of God, adding that what is not this essence derives from a created nature.
Yeah, how does that refute my view? Because he's talking about the actual reality of the thing in terms of its effect.
He's talking about the energy.
Is he talking about the ontology of it?
Yes, he says the reality. He says his opponent thinks that there's only one reality.
Is the only thing in reality about God the ontology?
That's what I just asked you. What is the difference between ontology and reality in this conversation?
Because he can also manifest, and its manifestation can be distinct from the reality itself.
No. Okay. Another quote from Palamas. As Basil the Great says, and I quote, "Is it not ridiculous to say that the creative power is an essence? Similarly, that providence is an essence, and foreknowledge, simply taking every essence as energy." And the divine Maximus says, "Goodness and all that the word implies, all life absolutely, all immortality, and all the attributes that appertain essentially to God are works of God and do not have a temporal beginning. Non-being, that is to say, is not anterior to virtue, nor to any of the realities mentioned above, even though the beings which participate in them began to exist in time. None of these things is the essence of God. Neither the uncreated goodness nor the unoriginate eternal life. All these exist." So now I'm asking you, he says explicitly that these are uncreated realities and uncreated things. How many uncreated realities and things are there within God?
Again, in ontology, one, in manifestation, multiple.
What does reality mean? It's not ontology?
You think, no, reality isn't only ontology. Wait, is manifestation not reality? Is manifestation not in reality?
This is so pathetic. You really don't.
Manifestation is not reality.
Really bad. And I thought Mr. 99 ontologies. Look how this came back to bite you. So let's move on.
That's crazy.
Since you didn't solve the LPT and you didn't solve the essence energy distinction problem, do you believe in uncreated birds?
And uncreated birds? I don't know what this got to do with LPT, but no, I don't believe in uncreated birds. No.
Trinity. Do you believe in uncreated birds?
I don't believe in uncreated birds. That has nothing to do with the topic.
Okay, so when the Holy Spirit appeared and descended in bodily form as a dove, was that a created dove or an uncreated?
It said like a dove. It doesn't.
Okay. Now, here's where really, okay, to me, this is where Jake is really going to start showing his absolute ignorance. This is wholesale ignorance of essence energy distinctions in Christian theology, which really, by the way, his own God would have to abide by, at least in some form and principle. The energy is that which is the interaction with reality. It's the expression of the ontology. It's the expression of the entity. It can have a beginning. It can't have a beginning. It can't have an end. It's a energy expression. It's not the essence of the thing itself. It's an expression of itself, not the thing itself. So Jake is not understanding that there is a delineation, particularly in Christian theology, of the distinction of the essence and the energy. This is very profound in Eastern Orthodox philosophy, even to this day. You'll even hear people like Jay Dyer mention it from time to time. Even some precept apologists that are Eastern Orthodox will bring this up. He does not understand that there is an essence energy distinction. There is an expression of the divine that the divine puts forward that is an interaction in reality that has a beginning and an end, because it's a temporal reality that he's interacting with. So it's an energy expression that isn't necessarily him himself or the full essence itself being transposed or copied or created in the moment. Like, it's not, God's essence is not being created because of his energy expression in a temporal reality. And Jake is proving he's wholesale ignorant of this fact. Really pathetic.
And say he was a dove.
Was he a dove or not?
No, he descended like a dove.
Did he appear as a dove?
It doesn't say how he appeared. It just says how he descended. And it was like a dove.
So he didn't appear as a dove. It's a yes or no.
It doesn't say whether he did or not. All it says is how he descended.
Did God appear as a fire in the Old Testament?
He appeared within a fire, not as the fire itself. It says he was within the fire.
Was the fire created or uncreated?
I would assume that the fire was created. Don't have any reason to believe the fire was
created. Okay, when Jesus, do you believe that the angel which wrestled with Jacob was the Son in the pre-incarnate state?
Well, yes, I believe the angel of the Lord was the Son.
Okay, and was the angel of the Lord who physically wrestled with Jacob and was doing wrestling moves, was that entity created or uncreated?
Yeah, an angel is a form of office, so the entity would be referring to Jesus, and he was uncreated. The angel is simply a form of office.
But what he appeared as, was that appearance, was that uncreated or created?
Yeah, appearances, how he appears is a manifestation of the uncreated.
Was that manifestation created or uncreated?
Yeah, the manifestation itself was uncreated, but manifestation itself was created.
What? Repeat that again.
The manifestation itself, who appeared within it, is uncreated. So who appeared within it is uncreated. The manifestation itself is created.
Okay, so the manifestation itself was created. So there was something created with respect to the wrestling of the angel.
Yes, meaning that the manifestation was not eternal.
Man, you're going to be in trouble with Jay Dyer. He's going to have to teach you your theology.
Jay Dyer, fallacy,
one minute.
So now we're going to get to, what about the fire at Pentecost? Was that created or uncreated?
It doesn't say.
What do you believe?
I don't have it specifically. It doesn't say.
It doesn't say. So you don't know if it's created or uncreated?
It doesn't say. Why would I make an assertion one way or the other?
Okay, so you don't know.
Yeah, because it doesn't say. What are we talking about?
If you actually read Orthodox theology, you would know that they say that it's uncreated.
Oh, like who?
So let's go back to the last question. Do you believe Muslims and Christians worship the same God?
Nope.
Is that because they have distinct attributes or properties?
Because your God has 99 ontologies and mine doesn't.
Okay, so having a different property makes them count as a distinct God?
Yeah, having different ontologies makes.
Okay, so why, when the Father and Son have different ontologies, one is begotten and the other isn't, why does that now count as a...
The Father and the Son don't have different ontologies.
Why does it not count as a different...
They don't have different ontologies in our view. Oh, no.
You can ask, but Nick is unobligated to ask or to answer. But go ahead.
Okay, so just finishing the question is, then why doesn't the Father and Son, who have distinct properties and therefore distinct, why do they not count as two gods?
The same way you didn't answer my question about what the inference rule was, I'll decline to answer yours. Unless you want to answer my question about inference rule, and then I'll answer that one.
Yeah. All right, we're going to go to the 5-minute close. So whenever you're ready, Nick, go for it. I will start on your first word.
Welcome to the Wanderer's Outpost, where there are many wanderers from different planets, each with their own role. As a recruiter visiting this time, you can choose one.
All right, guys, this went exactly how I expected and how I put it in my opening. I said all he's going to do is determine and talk about metaphysics, not the logic. Guys, how long do we even talk about the LPT in this cross exam? But he talked about uncreated birds and fire more than the LPT. Why is that? Because guess what? He conceded in my cross exam that according to the model in the logical system I hold to, the Trinity is logical. So I hope I never see him arguing the logical problem of the Trinity again, because again, we have already conceded the fact that the Trinity is logical. He tried to go off topic multiple times and say, well, it matters what my system is and this, that. It does not matter what his system is at all. It does not matter. All that matters, according to what I gave, and I gave sources for mine, all that matters is what exactly my model says. How does my model comport with reality? Does my model give a consistent count? So my point is, once again, the Trinity is logical. And I hope you guys all got to see that today, because we very clearly said, given the model I gave, it's consistent. You know, and I really don't understand, like, it's so crazy to me. Like, we're talking, and like, he doesn't know what things like first order logic are. Like, he doesn't know the basics of logic. And we found that out today. Nobody should be talking to this guy about logic anymore. If he didn't even know what first order logic was, if he didn't even know what an identity operator is, how are you going to argue against relative identity, not know what an identity operator is? Relative identity is quite literally just changing the identity operator. So him not knowing that, yet saying it's inconsistent, is showing he's being dishonest in that he doesn't actually understand the things that I'm saying. And so anytime anyone debates him in the future about this, make sure to remember that, guys. Make sure to remember the Trinity is logical given this system. And whether or not he denies in his system has nothing to do with anything. Once again, he didn't know our system. He thought Jesus and the Father, according to us, were different ontologies. No, they're not. Don't know why he said that. He doesn't even know our view. He doesn't know the basics of our view. I thought it would be like number one basic, that the Father, the Son, and Holy Spirit are one ontology, according to us. But I guess, according to him, since he believes in the 99 ontologies, I guess that makes sense. But according to us, it doesn't. I hope you guys enjoyed this little teaching lesson I gave Jake today. And God bless you all and the blessed Holy Trinity.
All right, are you conceding the rest of your time?
I am.
All right. All right, just so you know, after I'm going to toss it to Jake here in a minute for his closing statement, and then we're going to go to 30 minutes of Q&A. I'm going to, just so you guys know, I'm not going to read comments attacking either debater. We're going to keep this fair. If you have a question, put it in now. I'm going to prioritize super chats that give the most, because we appreciate the generosity and supporting the channel. So I'll toss it. So get those in now while Jake is giving his close. Whenever you're ready, Jake, I'll start on your first word.
Yeah, I just want to see if I could share my screen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see. Okay, is that coming up?
Should be. Yep. Okay, whenever on your first word, I'll start.
Yeah, I'm ready. Okay. All right, so this went exactly as I thought it was. Nick failed to deal with any of my arguments whatsoever. Absolutely laughable. His argument is J.C. Beale's contradictory Christ of dialetheism is consistent with its own logical system, and therefore the Trinity is not illogical. He thinks that merely putting it into any logical system you want, or relativizing identity and putting it into that system, that itself defeats the LPT. It's absolutely shocking. If that were the case, guys, I can show you videos of mine before Nick was ever even on YouTube, where I've been saying that if you think Peter Van Inwagen's system of logic, okay, which he goes through in this text, if you agree with that, then of course it's the Trinity is quote unquote not illogical according to that. That's all he came to say, which is ridiculous. What that means is that the Father and Son can be the same, quote unquote, same God, but different persons. But when we go into the details for what it means to be the same God, that's when Nick crumbles like you haven't seen anyone else crumble before. When I asked him what's the criteria for counting as the same God, his eventual answer was whatever the Orthodox Church says so. You know what that leads to? Yes, it leads to a very serious metaphysical problem. It leads to a very serious metaphysical problem in which there is no objective metaphysical reality. Everything becomes relative and subjective, and there's nothing really outside of us that we are going to investigate. We construct metaphysics by what our church says, or what a church father says, or what somebody else says. So it leads to metaphysical problems that reject any objective standard. Okay, there is no metaphysical realism. It's a rejection of metaphysical realism. Okay, that's what the position results in. That's why he doesn't want to discuss any of this, because he knows when I ask what's the criteria for counting as the same God, or what's the criteria for counting as the same person, it's all ad hoc. It's all contrived. There is no consistent or even internally consistent system by which he counts gods versus persons versus human beings. It just becomes a portrait by which Nick or his other friends can start drawing on the canvas however they want. That's the whole point, which he didn't want to go into because he knows he can't. He himself just blasphemed, and Jay Dyer is going to have to bend him over and spank him, okay, because he's going to have to let him know that Nick is an idiot who doesn't know his own church's teachings. He doesn't know his own church's theology. He doesn't know that Gregory Palamas, believes in uncreated energies, some of which are eternal and some of which have a beginning in time. He calls them realities. He calls them things, which means there are multiple unoriginated, uncreated realities and things within God. So you have the LPT exponentially. And he didn't even attempt to deal with this problem whatsoever. If I could just go back, just quickly to that thing there. Sorry, Michael. I just wanted to go to it here. If you look what it says here, this is Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy entry on identity. And if you scroll down here, you'll see the view of identity just put forward. Hence, the classical view characterizes it as the equivalence relation, which everything has to itself and to nothing else, and which satisfies Leibniz's law. And according to Nick, he doesn't have to hold to that. So he doesn't hold the classical view of identity. He doesn't hold the classical view of logic. And therefore, his Trinity system is only consistent within a non-classical logical framework. That's the point. And he didn't deal with his uncreated birds problem. He's going to have to be told by Jay Dyer, you have to believe in uncreated birds and fires. It's going to be hard on the Mushrikeen more than it already was.
Hey, it's Ashley with 4 Patriots. We're in a bit of trouble. To put it plainly, we need to clear out some space in our warehouse fast. We recently received a massive shipment of survival food, and right now our shelves are overflowing. But our pain is your gain. To clear out our backlog, we're authorizing a special deal. Buy 1 72-hour survival food kit, get 2 for free. You heard that right. You're getting 3 kits, but only paying for 1. That's enough food for you and 2 loved ones to survive a long weekend, or more than a week's worth of meals for you, all for the price of a single kit. This may be the most important decision you make today. We all know when a crisis hits, food is the first thing to go. Whether it's a blackout, a freak storm, or even just civil unrest. And when it happens, you don't want to be elbowing folks to get to the last bag of rice. But more importantly, you don't want just any old food. You want meals that taste great and last. These kits are packed with delicious breakfasts, lunches, and dinners, designed to last 25 years. It's insurance for your pantry, but even better because it's easy to make and actually taste like a home-cooked meal. Even picky eaters love it. But you need to hurry. We can't afford to do this deal forever. Once our warehouse hits normal levels, that's it. We're closing this page, and you'll have to pay full price for each survival food kit you want. There's another reason we're doing this too. We're a family-owned American company, and we believe in giving back. The last thing we want to do is ship you a box and say, good luck. You deserve to be truly prepared for the next emergency. So when you grab this deal...
All right, thank you for your closing there. I appreciate it. All right, so now we're going to go to the 30-minute Q&A. I'll jump right in. If there is a question that is irrelevant, I might... Neither of the speakers have to engage with it. So if they feel like this is way too irrelevant for the debate topic, they can just say no. But let me dive right in here. I'm going to start with this one first. Question, is there going to be a part 2 for Tawheed? That it depends on if both debaters are interested in that.
Yeah, I don't mind. I don't know if Jake's doing those or not. I know he's been shifting into moral debates, but up to him. We can set that up or whatever he wants to.
Are you waiting for me? I mean, I can answer the question too. I don't mind doing a debate on Tawheed. I've debated it numerous times with many Christians.
All right, we'll talk about setting that up maybe in the future with whenever Jake and Nick are available. Quick comment. Thanks for doing this. Question for Jake: if not the Trinity, what do you think the Bible teaches? Partialism, modalism, etc.
I don't think that the Bible has one specific theology, so I don't assume that all authors throughout the Old and New Testament have the same theologies. For example, I think in the Old Testament there are aspects which are more monotheistic, others which are henotheistic, and allows for the existence of all these other kind of gods. You just can't worship them. And then in the New Testament, I think it's a bit of a mixed bag as well. I don't think that Paul and Matthew and all of the authors have the same theology. So it's a bit of a difficult question to answer, but I don't think it teaches partialism or modalism, that's for sure. And I'll throw a bone and say that I think the Trinity is more probable on the New Testament than partialism or modalism.
Thank you for that. Jake, how would you answer the Quranic dilemma while still staying consistent in your critique of the LPT? If the Quran created or uncreated, how would you reconcile this with without coming Tawheed or Shirk, etc.? How would one reconcile that?
His question doesn't really make sense at the end because those Arabic words don't really all go together. But anyway, how would I answer the Quranic dilemma while staying consistent in your critique of the LPT? Is the Quran created or uncreated? We believe that the Quran, the Arabic Quran, is uncreated, that it was a speech act of God, as opposed to Nick. I mean, I'm actually more Eastern Orthodox than he is in this respect. All of God's actions are uncreated. So when God speaks, whether it's in the Old Testament, if it's genuine revelation, or the Quran itself, we believe that all of God's actions are uncreated. So yes, the Quran as a speech action of God would be uncreated.
Another generous super chat. Jake, beginning in Triads 3 refers not to being, but manifestation, to the energies activity towards creation. You equivocate on beginning. He is I'll skip that, but he says justify how beginning means ontological origin. I think that's the part I wanted to get to there.
Yeah, I mean, I can go back and read the quotes again, but it literally uses the word reality and thing. So I don't know what else you understand besides that. And Jay Dyer specifically explicitly states many times over in his debates with Catholics that it's not about merely something manifesting and this thing being created. He's saying everything in terms of the manifestation, there's nothing created there whatsoever.
I'm going to do a question here for Nick. Here we go. Nick, speak about the Quran is pro-Trinitarian or anti-tritheism and is refuting the heresy of John Philoponus. This was controversy on the 6th century. I don't know if you wanted to speak to this.
Is he asking whether I believe it's pro-Trinitarian or not?
I guess so. I don't know. I thought this may be something you know.
Obviously, no. It is. The Quran is obviously not pro-Trinity.
Okay. Yeah. Here's a question for Jake. Jake, does your version of the LTP rely on the negation of relative identity? Correct me if I'm wrong. It seems like you're arguing via FOL plus absolute identity.
Yeah, we're assuming that absolute identity is true.
All right. Let's see here. Trying to skip the comments.
The other thing, I'll just add on to that, we're also assuming that we count by absolute identity. So it's not only that we're assuming absolute identity, we're also assuming that we count by absolute identity. And so when Nick and others don't count by absolute identity, we question them as to by what method they're counting and whether or not they're consistent with their own standards. And I don't think that they are.
Question for Jake. Hafs equals Quran, Warsh equals Quran. Hafs doesn't equal Warsh. I call this the QPT. How do you reconcile this dilemma? You're not obligated to answer that. Does seem a little bit off topic now that I read it. Up to you, though.
Yeah, I'll move on.
Okay, that's perfectly fair. Yeah, it's not the topic of the debate, guys. Try to keep it on the actual topic here. Question for Jake. When Allah gains accidental properties, do we count multiple Allahs by indiscernibility of identicals or by diachronic identity relativized?
The difference is that we don't say that Allah's attributes are him. So that's the distinction between Nick and myself, is that although I accept that God's attributes are distinct from each other, we don't believe that each attribute is God or is Allah. So we don't have the problem of multiple Allahs that Nick has, basically an infinite number of gods.
Am I allowed to respond to these questions too or no?
Sure, yeah, you can. I'll give you like a minute if you want to respond here.
It's funny. That's an amazing question from my brother Eli here, because this is true. I mean, I actually gave this in my opening statement where I said, well, if we're using is and we understand how he wants us to understand for the Trinity, which is absolute identity, that Allah is mercy, then using absolute identity, we'd have to say that he is literally absolutely identical to mercy, and mercy is ontological.
That's not my position.
If Jake wants to get the final. It's not my. Whoever gets the question, Jake, you can feel free to have the last statement if you want.
Yeah, it's not my position at all that identity or that the is has to always be absolute identity. In fact, in the case of Nick's Trinity and most Trinity theories, it's not absolute identity. It's a predication being used, and each person is divine. They're not absolutely identical to whatever God is or divine essence is, and therefore, because they're distinct, they count as three gods.
Looks like there are super chats coming in from Jake's one, so I'll read this one. It's for Nick. Nick, please define sortal and if red is a sortal.
Oh, I didn't even know that was possible. So I guess.
When you said it, I thought like that they had changed something in StreamYard because they updated it recently.
I didn't know that. So I misled people.
Oh, no.
Sorry.
Oh no, they come through. Yeah, you're good. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So it's called a dummy sortal. If you read Nicholas's Griffin book, starting on section 3, redness is considered a dummy sortal. There's a difference between dummy sortals and other types of sortals. A dummy sortal is just a different category of sortal, so it's considered a dummy sortal in his book. If you want to read that.
Okay.
Outsmart the market with Base 44 super agents. Set up in seconds and ready to go. Want to know what your competitors are up to? Super agents will scrape, dig, and summarize exactly what you need. Send to WhatsApp. Yes, please. The perfect brief served fresh daily before your first meeting. And your team? Super agent will take care of them too. It knows where they live. All of your tools connected in a click. Daily. Oh.
Let's see here. Question for Jake. Analytic logic demonstrates identity isn't a floating connective, but requires a sortal concept, the same F. In your LPT critique, is God an essence sortal or a PRSN sortal? I guess is what I'm not sure what that is referring to there.
I don't know what he means by analytic logic. If he's talking about the logical systems used by people like Peter Geach, then it's just going to fall into the same criticism that I have and that I've mentioned earlier. And at least somebody like Peter Van Inwagen, who does use a similar logical system, and he relativizes identity, he freely admits that relative identity logic has no utility outside of Christian theology at all. And therefore, it is completely ad hoc and contrived, and there's no content behind it, and it leads to this denial of metaphysical realism.
Anything you want to add, Nick, or
no?
Okay. This one just says what? I don't know what that's referring to. So yeah. Let's see here. Here for GC Beal or JC Beal, consistency doesn't equal no contradiction. For Nick, consistent equal contradiction. So why bring up JC Beal if it's not equivalent?
I'm not bringing up the fact that Nick holds to J.C. Beale's specific position regarding Christ or the Trinity. What I am bringing up is that J.C. Beale is holding to a different logical system than the standard logical system, and so is Nick.
Here's one. Jake, is Isa the word of Allah or spirit from Allah?
I think it says word and spirit from Allah.
Oh, correct. Yes.
He's the word of Allah in the sense that he's created by Allah's word, which says in the Quran in chapter 3. And I fish in a tie, dude. You asked me this question already. I know this guy.
Okay. Here's another one. I don't know if he's asked you this before. Isn't Isa divine since he creates life like Allah?
No, because if you look at all of the exegetes of that and our understanding of prophets, how they perform miracles in general, it's God who actually performs the miracle through the individual. They don't have this power to actually do any of those things, in the same way that Moses throws his staff down and it becomes a snake. It's God doing that through Moses in the situation. But Moses, we wouldn't say is God, because he's turning something inanimate into something that's animated.
All right, let me just make sure there's some questions here. Here's one that just came in. Jake, when Allah descends into the heavens, does he keep the essential attribute of being above the throne? If so, is there one Allah above the throne and another below the throne, or throne descend? It's not
really relevant, but I'll
it's kind of off topic.
Yeah.
I'll answer the question anyway. We don't believe that Allah actually descends into the lowest heaven as if he is inside the heaven and he's surrounded by it. That's not our position. We don't believe that Allah actually leaves the throne.
Here is a question, Jake. Is creation an uncreated act of God?
The act of creation, I'm assuming that's what he's trying to say, is creation an uncreated act of God? Or do you mean like something that's created, actually in creation? I don't know, but I'll answer both ways. If you mean the created effects like books and grass and the sky and everything like that, of course that's created. But the act of God creating is uncreated itself, the action. I hope that makes sense, or you understand that anyway.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, that's not. I'm looking at some of the super chats to try to find the questions. Are there two natures of Christ, particular or universal? I think this is for you, Nick. Is the one nature of the Trinity particular or universal?
We don't believe it's either, because we don't believe that God is potentially instanced. So it can't be a universal and it can't be a particular because there's no universal above him. So neither.
Yeah, can I just respond to that? So Branson himself believes that Gregory of Nyssa holds the view, and other church fathers hold the view that the divine nature is a universal, or at least a quasi-universal, and that it is multiply instantiated. And that's why he uses the analogy between Peter, James, and John sharing one human nature and the Trinity itself.
Appeal to Branson fallacy.
Yeah, I think.
Question for Jake: can something manifest in reality?
What kind of a question is that? Of course.
That means manifestation isn't the same thing as reality. Good question. Chris.
That wasn't the question, buddy. Dude, I'm telling you, you're gonna have a big problem with the Eastern Orthodox.
We'll see.
Nick, if we count gods by identity and stay logically consistent, we count 3 gods. Would you therefore say that counting 3 gods this way is consistent?
Yeah, just you're not telling me what type of identity we're even using there to count 3 gods. I think we can use identity, specifically a relative identity. We can come to the conclusion there's 1 God. Counting different ways, right? Using identity, you can use identity to come to have a conclusion of 1,000,000 gods, right? But it matters how the actual model is set up, and I set up the model in a way in which there was only 1 God.
Yeah, so it becomes totally arbitrary. In other words, Nick doesn't actually have any argument against the position of why you cannot count gods in the Trinity by identity. That is fully consistent, it's fully logical, it's not guilty of any ad hoc counting method or any inconsistency whatsoever, and therefore there is a perfectly legitimate sense in which there are 3 gods in the Trinity. And you have no argument to say why it's impermissible to count that way, other than saying, oh, because I have to say that there's only 1 God, or my church doesn't allow me to count this way.
Yeah, so however we count, again, saying that there is, I addressed this in my opening, saying there is a way in which you can count that leads to more than 1 God is irrelevant, because as long as we can have 1 consistent model, we can say that there is a possibility that we can say the Trinity is logical.
Here's one. It's about a source. Still waiting for Jake to bring that source for the Orthodox Church Father. Do you remember what that was? And if you want to just mention that really quickly, so we have that.
I don't know what he's referring to. I mean, I read the quotes out verbatim.
I don't know. I think it was the first one. I don't remember which Church Father it was, though.
I think he just wants the reference, maybe. So I thought this was fine.
All the quotes that I read from Palamas are from the Triads, and they're just on different page numbers depending on what edition you look at. So I'm not sure which quote he's referring to, but all the quotes that I read from Palamas were from the Triads, and I have no problem providing them.
Sounds good. I think this is for comment for Nick here from Jake's channel. Someone has misled Nick into thinking the LTP is just about whether a logical model can be built, but a model can be consistent yet heretical. LPT must include Nicene commitments, persons, natures, and how we count them. You're welcome to respond, Nick.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with whether or not it's logical. Something can be logical and heretical, or something can be heretical and not logical, etc. The question today is not whether or not it is heretical. Again, there's nothing that I said, by the way, that was heretical. Nothing in my model was heretical, not even in the slightest. But again, it being heretical would have nothing to do with the argument. That would have to do with whether or not it goes against church history. But the LPT is specifically an argument saying, given the model you give, we actually end up counting multiple gods. That's not the case here. It just didn't happen.
Yeah, so that's not the case. And yeah, I will appeal to Branson again, because I think he's more knowledgeable in this area, is that Nick is doing what many analytic philosophers fall victim to, which is merely constructing models that are somehow consistent without understanding that you're no longer really talking about the Trinity or the incarnation when you say that this model is consistent. It's not just being about consistent within itself, it's about whether or not it's consistent with what the church has taught and what Orthodox theology teaches. For example, somebody like William Lane Craig, who denies the doctrine of divine processions, denies that the Son is eternally begotten of the Father, and says that the persons are parts of God in the same way that a skeleton is part of a cat. Nick wouldn't accept that as a legitimate Trinity model. So that's basically what Danny.
Yeah, and again, when we talk about my model wasn't heretical at all. So I mean, it's kind of irrelevant in the first place. But again, given I showed the definition of what it means for something to be logically consistent according to classical logic, and nowhere will you find in any definitions of classical logic that for something to be logical that it has to be non-heretical. That's not what you find. Again, mine is not heretical either, but that's not what you'll find when you actually look at the definitions.
This swells your prostate. This swells your prostate. This swells your prostate. If you have pee problems or bedroom performance issues, here's why you need.
All right, I'm sorry I missed this one earlier. I was trying to go through comments. How are your questions on EED relevant to the topic, the doctrine of the Trinity, the 7 basic propositions? Doesn't say anything about EED, so essence energy distinction. So essence energy distinction could be illogical, and the Trinity could still be logical. So that's directed at Jake. You're welcome to respond.
Because I think, unfortunately, Nick, and maybe he's duped the audience, they thought that this was a debate merely about whether or not the LPT can be put into a logical system, or whether or not a response to the LPT can be in an internally logical system. It was not limited to that. The debate is about, is the Trinity illogical? So I can bring up any argument that deals with the logic or the rationale of the Trinity itself. And that includes the essence-energy distinctions. If you say that each energy is fully God and they're distinct from each other and distinct from the divine essence, then you have multiple gods. In the actual case, you have an infinite number of gods. So it's dealing directly with the topic.
Yeah, Abraham was clearly right here. When we talk about God and what God is, what the Trinity is specifically, that has nothing to do with essence-energy distinction. Essence-energy distinction is more about how God acts and how he operates in virtue of the world and virtue of creation. It's not about how many gods there are or what the Trinity entails at all.
Got it. Let me, here's one. Jake, I hear the complaint about ad hocness about RI a lot, but I have yet to hear a justification of that. What kind of ad hocness is in view?
It's ad hoc. Well, we couldn't even go into that because I was trying to, but Nick said that he doesn't really care if his position is ad hoc or not. He's only merely concerned with a specific logical formula and structure. He doesn't care about it being ad hoc. And I'm demonstrating how it's ad hoc because when I ask Nick what determines or what is the criteria for counting as one God, it's purely based upon his own construction. It's whatever he wants to write down. It's the same thing for being human. It's the same thing for anything else. It is the ultimate form of being ad hoc because it results in a denial of metaphysical realism whatsoever. And if you want to see an example of this, you can see Michael Ray's criticism where he argues this.
Yeah, so this is a great question by Fan. Again, I don't believe it's ad hoc, but let's grant that it was ad hoc. It has nothing to do with logical consistency, given the definition that we gave of classical logicians of what logical consistency is. I don't blame him for not understanding this because he doesn't really know what first order logic was clearly when we talked about it. But if you actually look into first order logic, it literally does not care about ad hocness. It has nothing to do with whether or not something's ad hoc or not.
He uses reality, therefore he means ontological origin is an invalid inference. It just denotes the true existence of mode of origin. Where does Palamas equate reality with origin? Justify it. This is directed at Jake.
He says with created origin.
Well, sorry.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you want me to go back to the quotes, I could go back to the quote here. So he quotes St. Maximus and says, St. Maximus has rightly said, immortality, infinity, being, and all those realities which by nature are contemplated as qualities appertaining to God are the unoriginate works of God. So he literally is saying immortality, infinity, being, and all of the other realities are qualities which pertain to God and are these unoriginated energies of God.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, them being unoriginate, again, he's going to have to show that this is referring to the ontology, which is what the person who asked this question is asking, and not manifestation. Because I can show multiple times where people such as Palamas very clearly talk about how their manifestation begins in reality. And also Takan Pino in his book on essence energy distinction makes the same point.
Yeah, which I have that same book here. Yeah, this book here by Pino, and he does a typical cope actually, and I'm really genuinely actually shocked that Nick is taking this position because he had Dr. Bradshaw on his channel to discuss the essence energies distinction, and this is not the position of Bradshaw, Jay Dyer, and these people that I thought he was having the same position on. If you take the position of Pino, it's a complete cope in my mind to try to make the East and the West consistent. Palamas is not at all saying that merely the manifestation, right, of God, the manifestation is created, and then the thing which is eternal, which is the original attribute, is uncreated. That's not his position at all. His position is that the manifestation, the thing that appears in time and space, is actually uncreated. That's what Bradshaw's position is. That's what the position of Jay Dyer is. And I'm assuming Branson as well, although I'm not 100% sure on that. But yeah, Pino is just honestly is rereading Palamas in a way to try to make it consistent with the West. There are some who do this as well with Ibn Taymiyyah, which I have a book over there on as well, and it's not his position at all. Ibn Taymiyyah and Palamas wouldn't make any sense if all they're saying is, oh yeah, God has these eternal attributes, and then there are manifestations of them that happen in time and space, and those are created. Their position wouldn't make any sense.
Are you having trouble trying to keep up?
Can you reference a single philosopher who claims that using relative identity commits one to a non-classical logic, not just a non-classical identity operator?
Branson. I can try to pull up the quote quickly, but I don't want to.
I'd love to see that for sure.
If you want to, but I'm going to move on while you do that because we got a lot to get through.
Sure.
Jake, if we count multiple things by a difference of properties, then when a lot differs in properties over time, is he different entities, or do you relativize diachronic identity?
No, we don't have to appear to relative identity, and even Van Inwagen freely admits this in his paper and in correspondence with him, that you do not need relative identity to solve any of these other puzzles about identity over time. It really has nothing to do with Allah. It could be Nick or Jake or anything having identity over time. These puzzles can be solved without appealing to relative identity. So no, I don't appeal to relative identity for that.
I think this is for Nick. Let X equal what makes one full God. If Father, Son, and Spirit each fully have X and aren't each other, why not three gods? Excuse me.
X is what makes one. I don't know what he means by what makes one full God. That sounds like he's denoting some sort of composition, which we wouldn't believe in. But if he's referring to X as the sortal that it's under, what makes them one and not the other is going to be the fact that there is only one sortal being formulated.
Yeah, and that one sortal is going to be possessing the same essential attributes, which are the omni attributes. And by that same token, we would say that there's only one human on the screen. And that's why Nick's position breaks down, is because it becomes, to go back to Than's question, becomes totally ad hoc about what counts as one God, has its own unique criteria that we set up and we create. What counts as one human being has its own unique criteria, which we set up and we create. There's no, it's a rejection of metaphysical realism.
I would say he has to understand that sortals don't necessarily have specified truth conditions. That's kind of how first order logic works.
I'll try to read this one. N-D formula makes all species one with multiple persons, which is illogical. Can you use it to count more than 1 to 4 any other species where God is the species? I think that's what.
You understand what he's saying, Jay? Because
I was trying to decode it there.
I don't know what the frick he's saying. I'll be honest.
All right. A question for Jake. What is the ontology of a person? What are the essential attributes of person or personhood? How do they disprove the Trinity?
How do they disprove the Trinity? I'm not really sure I understand the question, but with my particular theory of personhood, I don't see how it's relevant to disproving the Trinity. Yeah.
Okay. Question for Jake. If there is one model that's logically consistent, doesn't that mean there's no LPT?
No, because what determines what logical consistency is? Again, I mean, if you think this is a gotcha, or like Nick thinks that he got some big victory to say that that relative identity logic is a consistent theory within itself, and that on paper it can be consistentized. I've literally been saying that for like the past almost 10 years publicly. So it's nothing new at all. So if you buy into relative identity logic and you think that it's a genuine system, go for it. If you buy into dialetheism, go for it. I don't buy into it. I don't think that it is something that we should appeal to. And if your theory of God commits you to a very controversial theory about reality, then you should second guess it.
Amen. If we use relative identity, it makes the Trinity logical. If we want to appeal to it, therefore, there is a certain model where the Trinity is logical. W concession.
Wrong.
Question for Nick. Can you explain to me, like I'm one, what you were trying to do with the equations you had on the screen? Sorry, I'm a dummy lay person. So if you want to do that briefly, we're almost out of time.
Yeah, so basically, it's just first order logic. So the Father is not the same P. P stands for person. So saying Father is not the same person as the Son. This symbol right here stands for and. Saying and the Father is not the same person as Holy Spirit. Son's not the Holy Spirit as the Holy Spirit, etc. It goes through that. And then it goes through that, like in the bottom, if you start at the bottom, Father is the same. That's what the equal is for. Is the same God as H. That means the Holy Spirit. Son is the same God as F, etc. And it goes through that. Basically, it's formulating our statements in which we're talking about how the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit are distinct, but yet they're still the same God.
Yeah, and it's giving absolutely no content.
I think we have time for one more question. Jake, can you manifest as an angelic being while still ontologically being God, and why or why not?
Oh, can God manifest? I thought you said Jake. I was saying, whoa.
Oh, sorry. I'm just trying to go fast. I may have misread.
Can God manifest as an angelic being while still ontologically being God? No.
Okay.
Not if you're saying that the manifestation itself is uncreated. No, I don't believe that, for example, physical manifestations are uncreated. No, not at all. And Nick doesn't either, but that's just heretical according to what Palamas and the Eastern Orthodox Church teach.
Hey, I ain't seen no counsel for that one.
Well, I guess we haven't all my counsels.
We are over our time for our 30-minute Q&A, so we will close it there. I appreciate everybody coming. So yeah, thank you to both Nick of Fearless Truth and Jake Broncatello for coming on the channel for this debate. I have linked both of them below. in the title of this. So just click on them, subscribe to both. We
Well, I'll be able to
appreciate
download
everybody
this and post it to
coming.
my channel.
Absolutely. It's already on Jake's channel as we speak, so you can download it, post it there. Guys, do whatever you want with it, clip it, take clips out of it, perfectly fine with me. Go ahead and use it however you want. But yeah, appreciate everybody coming. And we'll be live on the channel as we always are on Monday evening tomorrow. So come back then for that. And appreciate you guys coming.
All right. Well, I guess we're done with that, right? Not much else to say or do. I do think Michael was right when he was saying earlier that relative identity is kind of an operation that doesn't necessarily fit inside first order logic, where identity is always absolute. Nonetheless, it was upon Jake to look at the first order logic formulation and point out where it was internally contradictory, even if it was relying upon an operation of relative identity, which of course Jake couldn't do. And of course his whole challenge is about the essence energy distinction was a waste of time, just done in ignorance. He does a false equivocation between the essence of mankind and the essence of God. So it was just a bit of a big mess, but yeah, a disaster. I am wrapping up a few things here, and then I have to pick up my lovely wife. So I guess I'll wrap it up now. I hope you guys enjoyed it and had yourselves a fun time. I thought it was kind of interesting for what it was. Dave's doing some sort of thing on his channel, probably reading Bible. So if you guys are bored, head over there, News Unit Broadcast. And yeah, we'll catch you on the next one. Smokey is signing out.